Hello, I'm John, the executive producer here at Final Show Films. I got a few notes for you before the show. First, I want to thank you all for watching. We couldn't do what we do or the amount of things that we do without the support of you, the viewer. If you want to support us financially, which we always appreciate, you can go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/fsfilms, where you can donate as little as $1 a month to help us continue this and all the things that we do. I want to give a special shout out to our $25 supporters, Antitonic, Waterflame, and Samantha Bates. Second, I want to let you all know that we here at Final Show Films are planning a little get-together up at Gen Con this year. That's August 2nd through 5th up at Indianapolis. We're going to be up there just sort of hanging out, enjoying the con, spending time together, and if any of you guys want to come up and say hi, please feel free. We don't bite unless you want us to. And if you enjoy whatever it is you're about to watch or listen to, be sure to check out our website at finalshowfilms.com, where you can find links to all of our other content, both podcast and video. And be sure to follow me at John A. Bates on Twitter for more updates on all of the content we're creating in the future. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy.
And that's what everyone comes back to. Well, not quite. That was the very last thing before the mics came on. All right, welcome back everyone to Warcraft RPG Storm, Earth, and Fire. I am William, and I am the Dungeon Master. I said my name really weird there. I am the Dungeon Master for this Warcraft RPG campaign. And introducing today our player characters, we have Holly.
Hi, I am Holly. I'm playing Shiana Flamecarver. She is an orc rogue.
There you go. And Austin.
Hi, I'm Austin, and I'm playing a troll hunter. But mostly just a troll.
His name is Jangatal.
Like he cares about his name.
I know, but people in the audience, if John isn't going to be here to play the producer, I'm going to have to because none of you are. People in the audience need to know his name. Alright, and Stan.
That would be me. I'm playing Josh, the Goblin Tinker.
And Zachary.
I'm Zach, and I'm playing Leaf Ironmender, half-human priest of the Holy Light.
And Rudy.
I'm Rudy. I'm playing Brick Earth Whisperer, Tauren Runemaster.
And as previously alluded to, John is not here today. He will be his spot will be filled by this empty void.
Ooh, it's a void!
But when last we left our adventurers, our Horde military operatives, we had just been shot down out of a Zeppelin. It was fun. There was lightning.
It was interesting.
It happens.
But as the group crash landed from their Zeppelin and received various different states of falling assistance in the various forms of rune-enchanted doorways or jetpacks, the group found that from the site that had shot down their Zeppelin was also where the warlord that they had brought with them, Warlord Bloodhilt, had disappeared off to, presumably seeking to get his hammer towards some Alliance skulls. Upon arriving at the location, the group found a trio of Alliance soldiers, one elven mage, one human paladin, and one dwarven warrior of some report, seemingly having captured the warlord behind a wall of force in a very small outcropping of the area. Immediately joining the battle and eliminating the mage, thus freeing Warlord Bloodhilt, who joined in the fight, and promptly the group of you managed to defeat these Alliance soldiers, which is where we pick up after Josh has successfully looted most everybody.
Someone's got to be the goblin. May as well be
the goblin.
The goblin.
So,
Okay.
as we pick up, Warlord Bloodhilt kind of picks his hammer up out of the human whose torso it is currently inhabiting, we'll say, and slings it back over his shoulder and just kind of spits on the ground. More Alliance scum crushed underfoot.
Are all of them like just straight up dead?
Yes.
Okay.
With the exception, I think you put... Did you put one to sleep?
No, that was a different fight.
That was a different fight, yeah.
One was a sheep.
Oh yeah, one was
Oh
a
yeah,
sheep.
one's a sheep.
One's a sheep.
Yay, dinner.
Someone's holding the sheep. I think I'm got the sheep pinned down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Jane currently has the sheep. Did the warlord actually notice the one being turned into a sheep? That's a good question.
Well, he was kind of busy with his whole enmity against humans.
Yeah, so there's the question, because it was the dwarf that got turned into a sheep. With a 2 on the die, no he didn't. There's just a sheep here that he has no idea where it came from, and the dwarf is gone. He might put it together quickly, but...
I'm guessing they're... So... Yeah.
Did you do that?
No, that was you.
You did that.
Remember?
Oh, that's
You
right.
found the
I
scroll
couldn't
of
imagine
Power.
it.
Because you got the scroll off the page.
That's your... I'm not an
right.
arcane spellcaster.
So I'm looking at the scroll and I can't see it anymore, can I? I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
all the
blank
writing
sheet.
on it has just completely evaporated off of the surface of the
the
scroll.
disadvantage of magical stuff. Oh well. It
All
was
right, let's
fun.
get out of here before more forces come on our way.
Well, we gotta figure out what to do with this lammy poo.
Just let go of it.
Eat it.
Just leave. I start going. Where...
Where are we going? Oh.
Warlord Bloodhilt kind of steps over and looks at you, Johnny. while you're
I'm holding
sheep.
this lamb. Does this thing look more... Does it seem more animal or more like one of them? From looking at the way the thing is responding and like the look in its eyes.
Definitely has a more than animal level of intelligence because the dwarf managed to make his save to retain all his mental stats.
Okay, so this is definitely the thing that was trying to beat me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I should probably snap its neck, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That would be the logical response here.
I mean, at this moment, Warlord Bloodhilt kind of steps over to you and just kind of looks down. Troll, let me see that. He said, extending his hand.
I mean, I presume he's going for food, so snap its neck and hand it to him.
Only a strength check.
13
All right.
against the sheep's what constitution. I don't know. This is not a typical roll you make.
Snapping at sheep's neck. You attempt, but it's resisting you, and at this point the warlord has just stepped over. Is going to like try and pick it up by the scruff of the neck. If you're going to resist and hold on to it, or
No.
he's kind of picks it up,
We don't have time for this.
walks over the next cliff rise, and just kind of chucks it off in a direction.
Aw.
Okay.
If you follow him over the cliff rise, you see that he just dropped the sheep into the lava ravine. And as it hits the lava, there's a cooking noise, and the sheep turns back into a dwarf who is now submerged in lava,
And disappears.
and is not going to be there much longer.
All right.
Does he?
No, there's a little more screaming than that.
Imagine.
And also, organic matter that gets dropped into volcanoes would basically end up exploding because of the water instantly evaporating inside of it.
Yeah, this is fantasy lava.
Popping the...
Oh. But explosions are cool.
Yeah, they're gonna pop.
But this is the one time in fantasy where you don't get explosions.
I picture fantasy lava to be purple, glowing.
I mean, it's red and
That
glowing.
depends on the fantasy world.
Yeah.
My
Not
Fantasy
fantasy
lava is also
world, it's
the
his
fantasy lava
world.
is that weird lava that you can stand within 5 feet of
And not burn
Yeah,
to
not
death.
burn.
and you're fine.
Yeah.
In my fantasy world, it's purple and it glows.
Well, we're in the world of Warcraft right now, where it's just bright orange and doesn't burn you until you're in it.
Okay.
It's that weak lava.
Yeah. All right.
Change it
So we
back
were
and
basically
back.
going
Yeah,
back to where we
after
were supposed to be going.
disposing of the dwarf,
Sheep.
the warlord Bloodhill kind of shoulders his hammer. All right,
Whatever he had.
let's make our way back to Conquest Hold.
Already on my way.
And so you commence your march toward the Horde base, which was some ways away, but you're mostly you're moving slowly, mostly to try and avoid any desolation hold. Sorry, you're mostly trying to keep to cover to try and avoid being spotted by the other Alliance fort, Valiant's Keep, on the other side. Nope, that's also the wrong keep. I'm thinking of other thing, but yeah. But you make your way as slowly and as carefully as possible. Go ahead and everyone make me another stealth check.
Is the warlord being stealthy?
He's gonna try. He's not stupid.
20.
I mean,
not stupid.
are you sure?
Pretty certain. Okay. Alright, what's everyone got?
28.
28,
13.
13,
At 20.
natural 20, nice.
28.
28,
13.
13. Wow!
And we're consistent.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the orc and I are going to head forward and leave you guys behind because it's safer.
No, he got natural 20.
Yeah, I know, but
He's moving at a decent speed, probably.
Yeah, so the,
he can walk faster than I can anyway.
with a 19, even with his armor check penalty, he's doing pretty good. So the group of you all slowly make your way further across. The warlord kind of keeping his head down, occasionally looking up, checking the battlefield, returning back down, and giving a signal to move forward. As you all make your way over the course of the next hour or two, basically, you eventually find your way back to Desolation Hold. And this is the first time you've actually been here. You see, built into the sort of western cliff face that leads closer toward Mulgore, the homeland of the Tauren, but not quite in that area yet. There is these brown, reddish brown cliff faces sort of slowly give way to the facade of these dark iron towers that have been built. What seems recently, there are still signs of recent foundations that have been pulled out after everything was built. The tall, there's 3 tall towers, 2 in the front and 1 in the back, that seem to serve as watch posts for all angles. The wall basically uses the cliff face to cover its rear end, because the wall basically bridges out to the side and then connects with the walls of the cliff, which means that you've got this sort of almost semicircular look to the fortress, where it's just kind of reaching out in the front and then connects directly to the stone behind it, with the 3rd tower being sort of the end point of the base. And as you approach, you see the massive portcullis in the center with a gate behind it. The portcullis, as the group approaches Warlord Bloodhilt, realizing that they're pretty effectively out of range of the Alliance Fort Triumph, the Warlord stands up out of cover. All right. Well, let's see if they remember protocol. And he approaches the gates and calls out, "Thrallhall! This is Warlord Bloodhilt approaching from Orgrimmar! Open the gate!" And the portcullis, a few moments later, begins to rise. There's the sound of chains being pulled as the portcullis slowly proceeds to rattle up and up and up, and then a few moments later, the massive iron doors slowly begin to swing open, and the warlord kind of scratches his chin, looks over at you, standing right next to him. "Remember that. They were supposed to countersign and try and confirm we weren't spies."
I assumed.
I got a lot of work to do. And so the gate slowly opens up, and after a few moments, as the group of you are given room to enter, you see a line of Horde soldiers, mostly orcs, in sort of heavy mail armor, with axes at the side, sort of forming formation, lining up on either side and just kind of saluting as the group of you enter. Before a particularly heavily armored orc approaches, The orc kind of approaches and salutes. Warlord Bloodhilt, we were not expecting you. I am Quartermaster Demhack. What brings you here to the fort? And the warlord kind of looks him over. Where is the acting warlord of this base? And the quartermaster. Warlord Gardul is up in the main tower, surveying the battlefield. He looks up at the tower, and he did not come down to greet new arrivals. Cowardice. All right, Quartermaster Damhack. I will have further instruction for you in a moment, but alert the warlord that I'm coming up to meet with him. And the quartermaster turns and runs off. The warlord Bloodhilt looks back at the group of you. So, what do all of you see when you look around at this base?
So we see the normal construction.
Go ahead and roll me a spot check just to see what you do see.
$15.
17.
Also a 15.
17?
18.
18?
22.
22?
I assume the guards are not really up to snuff.
Yeah, and
They seem like their uniform is a little bit.
You sort of start to gather this as you look around, sort of on his indication. Several of you notice like some of the guards are not completely in armor. They've taken off the heavier, more encumbering bits to allow for more freedom of movement and comfort. Several of them are sort of like taking a meal in the middle of the courtyard. So, like, you see helmets removed in several different places. You see what look like some fortifications that haven't been upkept well enough. You see sort of like the iron rivets are starting to come a little bit loose. They'll still hold for now, but there's the signs of wear and tear that hasn't been seen to. You see the general weapons are not necessarily immediately on person. You see several weapons that have been left to the ground a couple feet away from where someone is performing whatever task they're doing. And generally speaking, it looks like a group of soldiers who have been here for so long they might have gotten comfortable in what they expect to happen. Where they've sort of gotten into this groove of they don't expect anyone to attack right now, and so they've gotten a little bit lax, and they've gotten into the point where they're sort of relaxing a bit, which you can only imagine to the eyes of someone like Warlord Bloodhilt is a bit too relaxed.
Right. Yeah.
From the looks of it, a lot of unprepared soldiers that you're about to discipline.
Are there any animals about?
There's a handful of small animals that seem to be mostly just kind of scurrying about. You see a couple of snakes that seem to be just kind of resting in the dirt. There's the occasional scorpion that wanders by. No larger animals that you can see. No wolves, no raptors.
Any mounts? So no mounts
No
here?
mounts, seemingly.
Are there stables?
You see a building that looks like it might be stables, but there's nothing in it. It just looks like a series of stalls, basically.
And obviously there's no wyverns here.
No.
So there's no trained or domesticated animals at all, or even signs of them.
Not really.
Are there signs of large animals having come through the gates at any point recently?
No. You see grooves from large things and large heavy things that have been brought through the gates, but they look more like wheel tracks, like the wheels of catapults and siege equipment that have been pushed out and brought back or pushed out recently.
Okay.
You do not see any large animals. Specifically, you also don't see the beasts of burden that would be necessary to, like,
Well, yeah. I mean, if I'm not even seeing any beasts going in and out to carry things around.
Like the only possibility is that the soldiers were pushing the siege engines out themselves, which is a heavy task even for soldiers.
Especially ones that are as seemingly lazy as these.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab. What's your name?
Shiana.
I'm going to grab Shiana by the arm.
I don't have an arm there.
By the other arm, then.
By the shoulder.
I mean, you still have a little bit of an arm.
I'm
there.
going to point at the
No, I don't.
stables
Oh, you don't?
first, and then I'm going to point at the grooves of the heavy things, and then indicate feet, and indicate my feet, and stomp on the ground and show the footsteps, and shake my head.
She'll nod at you. I see sloppiness, neglect, weakness. And is there a reason there are no animals here?
That is something that I'd like to know myself. Where are the wolves and kodos that should be around to ensure the movement of soldiers and siege weaponry?
Well, are there any siege weapons on around, like catapults or anything just laying around that's got siegery on it?
There is one. As you look around, there's a demolisher, which is a sort of a heavy, long. It's like a catapult, but instead of a swinging arm, it's got sort of like a spring-loaded lever. It's like a ballista for explosive payloads.
Mhm.
It's got like a small basket on a slide lever that rushes forward and launches a payload. And it has 4 wheels and what appears to be a series of hooks on the front for mounting the harnesses of beasts of burden to it, but no beasts of burden in sight to carry it.
Is there any grass growing around it, or are there tracks from it?
There's no grass that grows in this region in general, but there are no tracks anywhere around this.
So this thing hasn't been moved in a
It's been
while.
stationary for a while.
I'm going to, again, point at the tracks, go up to the machine, point at the harness, and then whenever the nearest orc is, I'm going to grab him, and I'm assuming they're a little out of shape.
A little bit. Well, not like physically out of shape, but like very clearly not. They look like they haven't been basically given the regimentation that they need. It's less like out of shape and more not in peak condition.
I'm going to grab one by the shoulder, point at the harness, and shake my head again, and then go back to the tracks and point at them again, and then cock my head sideways like, what? Huh?
The soldier looks very confused for a second as he's like quickly manhandled by a troll.
And I'm trying to get the not only I'm mainly Shion, but I'm also trying to get the warlord to notice, like, what the heck?
Yeah, and the warlord sees what you're pointing at, and is sort of nodding his head as he's putting the pieces together. And you see, like, the gears are turning in his head as he starts to see there's a lot of stuff that's going very poorly right now in his head.
Perhaps they've sent out all of their riders to attempt to get aid from nearby settlements.
I'm also going to point at the seed machine and then hold up a hand and be like... And then, like... Because I'm used... Like, in all the cities I've been in, there have been war machines. And, like, everything, even with palisades, there's been some sort of, like, war defense machinery, right? This is a battlefield fort, right? There's an alliance fort.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah.
So I'm just like looking at this like.
This is like
One?
the most frustrating game of charades.
There's only one siege engine in here right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like I'm not even sure how this stupid thing works, but usually you have more of these stupid things.
And you did notice as you walked through, you saw the wreckage of siege machines like out on the battlefield, like on the skirmish lines that had presumably been where forces have been fighting for a bit. But this is the only one you see inside the fort.
Yeah. Troll's very confused.
I want to make a stealth check and see if I can steal somebody's weapon that's just kind of hanging around.
Sure.
And then take it back to the warlord and point.
Sure. Roll me a sleight of hand check. Roll me a stealth check first, and then a sleight of hand check.
Stealth is 20.
All right, sleight of hand.
My sleight of hand is where I've got something. There
Yep.
it is. Yeah. Okay. 16.
Yeah, no, you just like it's a great axe too. It's bigger than you are in some cases. You just, like, disappear with it, bring it back, present it to Warlord Bloodhilt.
I hand it to him and I just point over and check this guy out.
And he takes the great axe, looks over at the orc who seems to have still not noticed it, just heaves it and hurls it, and it digs into the ground next to the orc who jumps and like looks to his left at where the axe is hitting the ground next to him, and he looks over his shoulder at the warlord who just kind of gives him this death glare, and the orc just kind of like very quickly, like he's been caught with his pants down, just kind of scrambles down, picks up the axe, and like holds it very tight to his chest.
I'm assuming to be fair, this orc probably isn't wearing full armor.
No, he's
So
like
he literally has his pants down.
Like the pauldrons have been popped off, the helmet is off, like the breastplate has been loosened to allow for more room in the heat. Like he's half out of his armor right now.
So he has literally been caught half dressed.
Basically. And at this point, Warlord Bloodhilt's just
You have your work cut out for you.
I need to have a conversation with the current warlord about what's been going on. And so she kind of walks towards that back tower. Follow me. This is either going to be a very swift conversation or an example.
Follow the warlord.
Shiana nods and follows.
All right, and so you march up the stairs of the central tower, and eventually you find yourself at the top of the third watchtower, the back tower, and it's surprisingly cool up here. Like it's the height off the ground sort of makes it a little bit less warm because of there's not as much of the heat radiating off the earth, and the darkness, the low light interior kind of keeps the sun from baking the inside, and so it's
also probably a nicer breeze up here.
Yeah, with the height above the hill face, there's actually some wind that can reach, and so it's almost comfortable up here.
I see where the warlord lives up here.
And you the warlord, who is this sort of this large, still definitely imposing looking orc figure, who is definitely still wearing most of his armor, with sort of these large sort of brass pauldrons with sort of heavy chainmail leg guards and a heavy breastplate with a hammer at his side. No helmet, but he's got like a one eye patch over his actually his right eye. As he turns to greet the group, Warlord Bloodhilt kind of approaches. So this is where you're hiding, Gardul. And the other orc turns around. Hiding? Listen, Bloodhilt, I've reinforced our grip on the Barrens. And then Bloodhilt like immediately cuts him off where he can say more. You cower behind your walls! If it wasn't for the existence of this fort here, the Alliance would be marching through Mulgore, and you've left it to rot! And the warlord kind of they've got reinforcements from the Eastern Kingdoms, whereas I've been cut off. And the Bloodhilt, your excuses sicken me. Consider yourself relieved from command. And the warlord, who's been on the defensive at this point, you see like that insult kind of bites deep, and you see him flare up for a minute. Relieved over my dead body. And Warlord Bloodhilt kind of grins at this.
Here we go again.
So you do have a spine. The two of them are going to initiate combat. Would any of you like to join this?
I want to join. This sounds like fun.
Not my monkey.
I want to stab.
Alright.
I'll put my place in initiative just so I know who and when I can heal.
To me, this seems sort of like one of those competitions between two competing alphas.
Pretty much.
Which, you know, is a thing that happens and
Yeah.
makes perfect sense to me. Unless somebody dies, in which case it'll no longer make sense to me. But, you know. These brutish, uncivilized two-legged things are weird.
Alright, so let's roll some initiative. Alright. Guard will already losing on the initiative count, too.
I got a 22.
18.
14.
Probably not going to do anything, but you know.
That's as high as I can roll.
14.
I wasted a perfectly good initiative roll here.
I know.
So.
Me too.
Very low for me.
And by a perfectly good initiative roll, I mean my only good initiative roll.
Alright, you had 14?
Mm-hmm.
Gianna. What was your initiative?
22.
22? Are you rolling initiative or are you staying out of this?
I'll roll initiative if I want to do anything. I don't think I
I'm not
will.
going to do anything.
You're just going to stay back? Alright.
17 in case I want to do anything.
17?
Skip me until I say something.
Yeah, okay.
Consider my action permanently held.
Basically, yeah.
But Jenga never says anything.
True.
And that's why I said till I say anything.
Alright, well, Josh, you actually had the first round.
Okay, as these guys are gearing up to go after each other, I'm looking around the room to see what there is.
Roll me a search check.
A perfect distraction.
Yeah.
Perfect distraction.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks. I'm going to look for a spot check.
And hey,
Or,
if you do end up
search.
stealing something,
Which
it's
is
just going to make
intelligence
the former
18.
warlord look worse.
So, as you look around, there's what looks to be a sort of a very large and heavy and imposing looking crossbow leaned up against one of the windows. It looks very, very large. It's definitely heavily modified. It's a crossbow designed from your engineering understanding. It's got several basically metal cables in place of what would normally just be a rope string, basically,
Right.
for increased draw and a lot more. It's a lot harder to pull back and draw than a standard crossbow. It requires a certain level of strength to wield, basically, but it is basically a sniper crossbow. It is designed for long distance and armor penetration.
Okay. And so that's considered a heavy crossbow as far as...
Yeah, as far as like basic weapon profile, it's a heavy crossbow, but it's heavily modified. Its range
Right.
increment is doubled, and it has a certain amount of armor penetration. It just also requires a certain level of strength to actually pull back.
Right.
So it's like a cross between a heavy crossbow and a siege crossbow.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I just need to figure out how I'm going to carry it out here without people seeing it. So I'll keep that in mind. And
All right.
just,
Act casual?
yeah, I'm going to act casual.
You've got bluff, right?
Because, I mean, remember, you just
Oh,
came in here with
wait.
blood hilt. As long as you pretend that you know what you're doing, nobody's going to question
I've
you.
got some sacks and some stuff that I could hide it in. I just got to figure out when to grab it. So
Yep.
I'm planning.
The Warlord is going to immediately go onto the offensive. Bloodhilt, just kind of with his weapon, with his hammer, just kind of raised angrily as he approaches. He just kind of brings it over his head, strikes down toward the other Warlord with, I mean, that's a 25 to hit, which will hit, and he's going to forgo dealing damage to do a bash. How much damage would it have done?
You just stun the dude.
Yeah. Ooh. Alright, that's gonna be a decent DC. It's 2 on the dice. So the Warlord Bloodhill's hammer kind of rings across the other Warlord's head, who is not wearing a helmet, as it turns out. And so the strike cracks across his jaw, and you see him kind of stagger back and catch himself as he's trying to like collect himself for a moment. And unfortunately, using a bash is a standard action, so he doesn't get to use his multi-attack.
Now, is he? But he's stunned, so he
Yeah,
drops whatever he's got in hand.
he is stunned. So he's like his hammer falls to the
He
ground.
drops whatever he's got in his hand.
The crossbow is laid against the
Yeah,
against
I know.
him.
I'm
Jenga Tall.
not there exactly.
You're not doing anything. Shiana.
Go ahead and stab him.
Go for it.
Fun.
He is stunned.
Right in the kidneys.
And you can easily flank with Warlord Bloodhill.
Thinking more like rib cage area, wherever it's nice and fleshy.
The kidneys are a nice fleshy point in the back.
They're right over there toward the back, yeah.
Or you can try to go up under the ribs. Or you can miss.
I can roll that. Yeah.
Because he's not flat-footed while he's stunned. He's just...
Yeah, no. 9.
Yeah.
Did you have the 2 for flanking?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
So 11 is not going to be quite enough.
Yeah.
Gartul is stunned for the turn. Josh.
I'm just gonna make my way over there and just see if I can fit it in one of my sacks. Just put it over my back.
Roll me a sleight of hand check.
Okay.
If
Let's
Warlord
see.
Bloodhill even notices, will he care? No.
Ooh, 19.
He doesn't notice.
I'm sure the other guy doesn't notice.
He's currently stunned. He can't notice. Back to Warlord Bloodhill, who is just, after he's got him stunned, he's going to slam a couple of times into the chest with the hammer. That's a hit, and that's a hit. So you're just going to deal some damage here real quick. And so the hammer cracks a couple of times against the chest plate of the other Warlord, who like staggers back onto his back foot and is definitely reeling from the force of the blows that have been raining down on him. Shiana. Okay, roll it again. Roll the attack.
Oh, you fist bump him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With blades.
With the blade.
Seriously!
Or maybe you don't.
That was a 1 on the die.
You thrust forward with the
Your distraction.
the blades of your claws, but they catch on the chain of his that is sort of like on the mesh between the metal plates of his breastplate. And as he staggers back, you find your arm is getting caught in his torso, which is a little bit awkward because it sort of hyperextends your arm for a minute as he staggers back.
Let's just do a performance check and dance your way out of it.
But that brings us to Gardul.
This character is not a dancer.
I know.
Going to attack each of you once. It's going to be a 17 to hit you.
Yeah, 17 hits.
Alright, so that's going to be 14 points of bludgeoning damage as the hammer cracks across your torso. And a second one is a natural 1 to attempt to hit Warlord Bloodhill. So it swings back around, and the other Warlord just kind of, with the hammer staff in the ground right now from his dominant position, just kind of brings it to the side and slams it into the oncoming head of the hammer. And the attack kind of bounce off of each other. Which brings it back to Josh. What you got?
I don't know. Just wandering around the room, I guess, at this point.
See if he's got anything in his desk or
Yeah.
something.
Does he have a desk?
There's
There's
a desk, yeah. It doesn't look very ornate or like well
Doesn't have much
pointed.
of anything on it.
Yeah, it's just got basically what looks like some battle reports on it.
Yeah.
An inkwell and a quill.
I already have stuff. No, okay, I'm just looking around. And,
Alright. Warlord Bloodhill is going to just press the attack. 1 miss, 1 hit, which means another 14 points of damage. Alright. Shiana. Try again. Go for it. Don't roll a 1.
Or 2. Or 3. Like I rolled the other time. There we go. Okay. That is... I have to math 24.
Alright, yeah, that hits. Roll damage with sneak attack.
What is sneak
An
attack?
additional 2d6.
2d6 for you.
Plus your regular. I'm sorry.
I roll better when I scoot away from him.
He just has an aura of
9.
bad rolling.
You dig the blade into the back of his torso, and there is you see he kind of drops the hammer for a second and puts both of his hands up. Wait! I yield. And he kind
He's
of
not gonna have that.
stops for a minute, and Warlord Bloodhilt, hammer raised mid-strike, just kind of looks at him incredulously. Yield? You yield? He kind of grabs him by the neck and kind of hoists him into the air. What part of victory or death don't you understand? And he's kind of thrusts his arm forward, and the other warlord crashes out the window and just flies and falls to the ground of the tower outside. There's a moment of silence as the other warlord crashes to the ground outside. And the warlord Bloodhill just kind of leans out the window and spits. Disgrace to the Horde!
Bloodhill didn't even take a single hit that battle, did he?
Nope.
She's the only one that got hit.
Jing, the troll has an odd look on his face, because that's not how that's supposed to work.
And so he...
Predator animals all have a yield instinct to stop exactly that from happening.
Mm-hmm. No, this is definitely one of those, like, civilized people things that you definitely don't quite get. This idea that it is better to die than surrender.
This is one of those civilized people things that I don't get.
This is
And by civilized people thing,
uncivilized
I mean
Yeah.
not civilized in the slightest.
And so there's a bit of a muttering forming on the ground that you can hear, just kind of reaching up to the tower as other members of the garrison see the body of Warlord Gardul just kind of splattered across the ground outside the tower. And Warlord Bloodhilt turns back around. We've got a lot of work to do. But you've all acquitted yourself well these past couple of days, and I hear that you've been acting for a couple of weeks now in service of the Horde, and it's about time that you got your first paycheck. Well, as it so happens, I was bringing with me pay for most of this garrison as well, and I think you've earned a little bit of a bonus, considering they haven't exactly acquitted themselves properly. And so he sort of reaches into the small bag that he's got on the back of his belt and pulls out several smaller pouches and kind of shuffles gold around between some of them and hands to you a very large sack of gold.
Yay.
Which has... Let me do some quick calculations. You guys have been running around for about, I want to say 3 weeks now?
Something like that.
Yeah.
7 times...
That sounds about right.
2 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, right. That one.
Plus
The void needs to get paid too.
He's here in spirit.
There's 402
Spirit
gold
Sean.
pieces in the bag that you are handed.
How much?
402 gold pieces.
I am good with this.
Which is 3 weeks of pay, plus a bonus taken from the pay that was going to be given to these guards before he realized they were so bad at their jobs.
Alright.
So we each get 68 gold.
Yep.
Assuming that we end up distributing it correctly.
67, because there's 6 of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6.
Wait, I just
You
got...
could. Oh, I'm sorry. I had 308 in my head. 408 in my head.
402.
Yeah,
402.
okay, I'm making sure I just wrote that down
Yeah, I'm gonna go
correctly.
2.
Okay.
And 8 where there should have been a 2 in my brain. The troll's not good.
Oh, and I'm missing
The rest of you have the rest of the day to deal with as you like. I've got to do some retraining. As he kind of runs his hands through the mohawk, as he kind of exhales a bit and marches his way down from the tower. leaving the rest of you here in the top room of the tower by yourselves.
How much did you say? 402.
I will personally make sure also that this gold gets distributed evenly. Because I know there's certain individuals who probably wouldn't divide it equally.
I'm dividing it equally. Oh, I'm the one
I'm
that
glaring
has
at you,
it.
too.
It's not me.
Okay.
I've got him.
67 gold would be.
I give you each
Yeah.
67 gold.
Okay.
Do you accept the gold?
I look at it funny.
Because I have part of your gold. Should I
Yeah.
just keep it for you?
He looks at when you try to give it to me. He looks at it funny.
Troll doesn't understand how money works.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine being around people this long, you'd get the general idea that if you hand
I
certain
get the
stuff to
general
people,
idea. Just because I know that it works doesn't mean I understand it.
Yeah.
I'm
You
keeping
understand the
track of
general
your money.
idea of bartering, but you don't.
No, I
care
don't
about
understand anything about bartering. Bartering makes perfect sense. I give somebody something, they give me something back. I don't understand meaningless rocks.
Shiana will like start to hand it out to you, and then look at you and say,
And she
"Let me know when you want to buy something, and I will put it with your other gold."
The troll will sort of look at you odd and shrug his shoulders.
It's for buying things, weapons, make people dead. Ow.
As she is attempting to explain the intricacies of the economy to the troll, I'm going to look over at that desk and look over these battle reports and see what's been going on.
So yeah, go ahead and
Yeah.
roll me a
Right.
gather information check.
To clarify,
Hey, I
this
like that
character has
information.
literally half the intelligence that Crash did.
What says something?
Wow, that
What
that
is
is
that?
saying
That was,
something.
Yeah.
Wait.
That's only a 9 on this check. I'm going to see,
What's the check?
gather information.
Information.
look at that.
Where's my gather information check? I don't know if I have much of that. A little bit. Yeah, I was gonna look it over.
Go for it.
I got a little bit
Stop
more.
sounding dumb.
Oh no, that's only.
Wait, sorry, 10.
10.
Yeah.
What do you got?
You got an 8 also. I got. Yeah, this is not.
Well,
roll well enough.
the
But
two of
we
you
were
looking,
looking
the
over.
two of you pouring over it together.
That
What
must
you
be the
find
goal.
out is basically you're not certain exactly how it came to be because you didn't roll high enough to understand what might be the root cause of these situations. But the recent reports that you're basically reading over basically outline how this fort is in a shambles. Like it goes over how they've lost all of their animals, most of their siege equipment. The blacksmith hasn't had fuel for weeks, so they can't do any repairs. They haven't had enough scrap to put to reinforce the walls. They've had to try and forage from the battlefield to get the metal to keep the walls standing. They've been cut off from reinforcements by the giant rent in the ground that is preventing them from sending for help. And the soldiers have basically, because the Alliance hasn't been attacking them lately, the soldiers have basically been taking this as their mandatory leave. And so no one's been getting anything done for the past several days, 2 weeks, maybe.
Can I take more time pouring over the information to like take 10 or take 20 on that roll?
Yeah, you can take some time. Yeah, and you can take 10 on that.
I
What
can take
that
10
ended
on
up
it.
being.
In that case, taking 10 on that would be a 15.
Yeah, so what it looks like, your basic understanding of what it seems like after pouring over some more of the older documentation was it seems almost like sort of a gross mismanagement of resources in a lot of situations. Like you can see reports of, the siege engine that the warlord demanded be put out to deter Alliance soldiers from approaching did not come back after it lost the siege, the beasts of burden that were designed to carry it, and has been left on the battlefield to basically fall apart. and stuff like that keeps coming up. Where you can't tell if it's bad luck or just stupidity, but something keeps happening, and whenever the base sends something out, it doesn't come back.
Well, certainly sounds like a whole lot of stuff to scavenge. I'd say over to.
Look out at the battlefield. Is there obvious, from up here? I understand.
Yeah, from up here you can see, like, as you look, the battlefield is like split on multiple locations because it looks like a spot where tectonic plates have slammed together. Yeah. So there's just rock upheaval in all directions, but you can see just scattered about on these uneven battlefields, just broken siege weapons, broken ballista, alliance equipment, horde equipment. A lot of it is laying across the area, basically.
Okay. You just have to figure out a way to get some of that stuff back without.
And specifically doing that without
triggering
animals to pull them as well.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, yeah.
And you sort of suspect that the reason a lot of it has been sitting there is because a lot of it sits basically in the no man's land, right. the area between these two fortresses, where you're open to both
without
of them.
being seen is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Are there can I see fallen soldiers out there as well, or
you see like piles of bones where bodies have been picked clean by scavengers, definitely.
So they haven't even had a chance
to retrieve, like,
soldiers.
Some of them haven't even had time to retrieve their dead. You can't tell if they're Alliance or Horde because the armor's all been stripped away by scavengers as well. But
is there anything I can notice about just the general landscape between here and there, and possibly comparing that with maps of the area, that something may have changed about the landscape?
Yeah, go ahead and roll me a survival check. What do you? You have something?
I'm going down to the stables, and I'm going to investigate the conditions here and try to see if I can figure out any signs, and even beyond that, just signs of where the larger animals have gone to, what condition they were in when they might have left, any signs that might have been in their food, in their water, in their scat, etc., etc.
Yeah, go ahead and roll me a survival check.
That's an 18 survival.
18? So, based on the understanding, there's been significant, based on the maps that you got, there's been significant sort of refacing of this battlefield. From your understanding, Desolation Hold and Fort Triumph did not used to be able to see each other from their own ramparts. That's a new development.
So things have moved closer together.
As it seems like the Earth itself has crashed into itself. And so you've got massive upheaval in the no man's land, where these sort of rock faces have popped up and basically forced into each other and broken the landscape, and so you've got this hazardous, difficult terrain to cross, especially with large numbers in like an army style.
And very difficult specifically to drag siege equipment across.
Yes. And is now within view of both fortresses. Meaning anyone, no matter what side you're on, trying to cross it is in open fire from the other side.
Hey Brick, do you have any invisibility spells? Anything like that?
Yeah. The only one I have lasts like 3 rounds.
I'm not that fast, even with my boots.
As much as I
20.
20? So it looks like the animals that were here, whenever they were here, were not very well kept. Like they might have been taken care of just fine, but it seems like the water and food they were getting was not up to par. Like you see traces of very dry and very hard leavings that were probably difficult to pass by the animals that had to leave them. Meaning their diet was not very well suited to them. You find the sort of like remains of food that looks like it was diseased when it was brought and had not been getting much better over time. You see, water that looks like it was stagnant when it was brought to the animals. This was they were surviving. They weren't being well taken care of for whatever number of reasons, and now there are none left. So you can't determine what their state was before they left.
Yeah, but it seems like they were not being treated well. The next question is, on our way here, how good does it look out there? Food-wise, chances of survival, that sort of stuff.
In just the area?
In the area.
It's... You didn't know a desert could get more inhospitable.
So, would they have been any better off leaving than in here?
Probably. I mean, possibly. Like, it's... Basically, their odds were either stay here with poor food and water or try and find somewhere else.
So, slowly wither away or take a chance.
Yeah.
After that, then I'm going to investigate and see if I can get an idea of what the people around here are eating and drinking, and seeing if it's universal or if it was just the animals that were being poorly maintained.
What you can gather as you look around is highly preserved rations. It looks like they still have enough rations to keep going for another couple of weeks, but their rations are starting to run low
And
for a fort.
they're rations.
And they're
There's
rations. This isn't food, this is rations.
They're living on MREs.
Yeah.
Alright. How hostile is it out there currently? Because we just walked from the other fort.
From
Stealthily.
You walked from some of the cliff faces to the west of Fort Triumph.
Yeah.
Sort of well hidden from the fort, but sort of in the shadow of it. And you had to move quietly, but you haven't seen any sign of Alliance encroachment from the other fort, at the very least, aside from those 3 soldiers that you had to fight with.
In that case, I'm going to try to slip out kind of the back end of the fort and look around at the land and just get a feel for where would they go for water, and see if I can find any places they might have gone to.
Roll me a survival check.
And while he's doing that, I want to see if there's like is there like a spyglass among all of this stuff or anything?
In the upper floor, yeah, there's a spyglass you can find.
I want to sort of take more of a look out into the battlefield and see if there's a disproportionate number of like animal skeletons, if I can at all make that out. Or I want to see if there's any particular concentrated areas with more dead or more ruined.
Roll me a spot check with advantage.
Well, good, that one went away. So that'll be at 22.
22? What do you got?
Same number exactly.
22? Alright. So, as you're heading out, and you get a look around very quietly, you notice that the landscape, there is, based on your understanding of sort of the topography, because you're not great at most civilized things, but you can understand a map at the very least. You understand how it relates to terrain that you could see. Based on what you understand of the map, anyone heading southeast would end up running into a marsh, which, I mean, it's a marsh, but it's more of a climate that has water and potentially plant life, as opposed to this battlefield, which has gone from dry grassland to dry, destroyed land.
A marsh is full of life. For a raptor, actually, a marsh is fine, and a wolf may not like the marsh,
but it's better than a wasteland.
But they are pretty adaptable and they would survive there well. Kodos. Kodos are more reptilian, right?
Yeah, Kodos are basically they're like rhinos.
Yeah.
Okay, they're like rhinos. So that one would probably be the worst off.
Yeah, they're sort of like very heavily thick-skinned. They are lizard rather than mammal like a rhino, but they're very large and thick-skinned.
Now, are they carnivorous like a lizard?
They're
or herbivorous.
They're more omnivorous. They will eat meat when given to them, and they can swallow a person whole.
Yeah.
But their typical diet tends to be whatever's nearby.
So it wouldn't do great in a swamp, but it'd do better than a rhino would.
Yeah, definitely better than a rhino.
Okay.
And then, aside from that, the other thing that you find is that There are some paths. They're difficult to climb, but animals like raptors or, particularly determined wolves could do it. There are some paths that can be climbed heading west, which head into the cliff faces, which seem to be able to find a route around this rift. It's not suitable for like armies to traverse or anything larger than individual groups. But if you can follow it, it could lead you away toward either Desolation or Mulgore.
Which are grassy.
Or sorry, to Sholazar Basin or Mulgore.
The basin has got running water, and it's going to have a lot more plant life. So that's where the Kodos definitely want to be. Cool. Do I see any tracks heading off these ways, or
old tracks? Mostly, you do see some that seem to have been basically gone through.
I mean, there's not a lot of wind around here, right? There's no other animals, so these tracks are going to sit a while.
Yeah, so they've been sitting for a while, but they are definitely there.
Do I see a preference on where they're going, or are they all kind of just spread out?
Feralas, that's the name of that green region below Mulgore.
Okay.
There's definitely they're spread in different directions. It looks like the animals left at different times. They're all old tracks, but they're all different tracks, sort of different layouts, different. It didn't seem like many of them left in large groups. More maybe like 2 or 3 at a time.
Okay. And the last thing, I'm going to check the water supplies for here. Is there a well here where they're drawing water from, or do they have water stored that's being brought in?
It looks like it's mostly stores. There doesn't seem to be any natural water underneath this fort. It looks like their stores have been sitting for a while, though.
That's real bad for a fort.
Yeah, no, it's not good.
I mean, it may have been replenished during the flood recently, but
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna find the rest of the group then.
And what you see with your spyglass, you do see a number of animal corpses across the battlefield. You see the half-eaten remains of Kodos that would have been used to pull siege equipment. You see some dead wolves lying, usually right next to their dead rider. You see some horses from the other side. You see large yaks that likely the Alliance is using to try and pull their siege equipment. You see a variety of different animals sort of spread across the battlefield in various different states. As far as bodies, you find that you don't find any particularly large clusters of bodies anywhere. It looks like this area has not seen a pitched battle for some time, but you see 2 or 3 here, 4 or 5 there, a handful here, a handful there, which sort of implies more of a series of skirmishes that have been going on.
Mm-hmm. And while I'm here, and since we can actually see the Alliance base now, is there anything noteworthy I can see about
You see no guards on the battlements.
What about the condition of the walls themselves?
It's a little bit harder to see with Alliance walls because they're more like the Horde walls are like sort of scale wood and iron, whereas Alliance walls are a lot more brick and mortar. So the brickwork doesn't look to have been heavily damaged, but there's moss growing in it and stuff from time.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird because this is very dry for moss to be growing. It's a very dry climate for moss, but that could be left without severely damaging the integrity of the fort. So it's not necessarily a giant concern, but it definitely doesn't look like anyone has been out to like. The appearance of the walls has certainly not been a major issue lately.
I'm going to be checking back over it like every couple of hours just to see if guards ever do go up there. Like maybe there aren't permanently guards up there, but occasionally they send a watch party or something because they're spread thin. Or
yeah, and that is sort of what you find is over the course of the next couple of hours as you keep an eye on it, you see one head pop up, look around, disappear back down to
sort of do the same
and I take
thing
it it's
doing.
exactly what we're doing right now, essentially.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Gotcha. And actually looking down onto our own city. I'm going to just assume that some form of crowd is gathering around Bloodhilt, or that he's doing something pretty dramatic.
As you look down, you see that Warlord Bloodhilt has just kind of started barking orders. He's just like, he sees anyone who is not in armor and immediately starts reprimanding them. They start getting back into their armor. He's sort of getting everyone properly back into their armor. Everyone is like, if you're going to eat food, you're going to eat inside a fortress area where you're not directly in line of fire for catapult hits. If you're, it's sort of like, it's the what's the term? There's a term for an officer who like comes around to make sure that everything's in order. Sort of the drill. I'm going to use drill sergeant right now. Sort of like doing the drill sergeant routine. It's like, all right, everybody needs to get their shit together right now. He's sort of like shouting orders, getting everyone back in line, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you see happening down, and you just keep hearing, his voice carrying over a lot of other people, and you keep hearing a lot of refrains of "Yes, Warlord," or "Zug Zug," or et cetera, various acknowledgments of orders.
And looking down through the fort again, and possibly looking over like personnel records or something, how many soldiers are here versus how many should be here?
You're at about half force, based on what you can see. Which is enough to man the walls, but not enough to launch any significant offensive.
And looking over possible scouting records, if they're up here, have they noticed any reinforcements going over to the Alliance base?
That was part of... You did notice that was part of what Warlord Gardel was saying before the fight broke out, was that the Alliance... Fort Triumph is closer to the coast. They're east, you're west. They can get reinforcements from the ocean. You can't.
They can probably just get food more easily that way, too. There's a lot of food and animals.
And there have been specific reports of... Yeah. But they're still pretty ragged right now, or at least judging by how manned they are.
But from what you can understand, and probably, if you had to guess, those three that you had fought were some of their more recent reinforcements. You can only imagine that situation is only going to improve for them, whereas this one is on the path of deterioration.
Yeah. They're gonna spring back from this a heck of a lot faster than we are.
Yeah. Unless you can figure out some way of getting supply lines back open to this fortress.
Or knocking theirs off.
Yeah.
Or stealing theirs, and
Which, laying siege to a better equipped fort kind of isn't possible. At least not in this case.
If we go far enough north and then east and drop down to the coast and wait and knock off their supply line as it comes, before it gets to the fortress, we could steal a few loads or whatever. Or...
But we have no beasts of burden to bring them back with.
I know. Well, I was thinking we could...
And no boats to raid any ships with.
I know. We just have to get them as they're bringing it to shore. But that's not a permanent solution.
Actually, thinking back to your own recommendation, how long is it usually between guards manning the walls? Like, are there any regular windows where we could try to go out and scavenge stuff from the battlefield?
They seem, trying to form my sentence, they seem to send guards up to the walls in sort of half-hour increments, because they're still too understaffed to have a constant watch up, but they definitely, like, it sort of seems to be like part of some people's patrol, where it's like, you walk down, check everything down here, and then someone go up to the wall and have a look out, make sure nothing's happening, and then come back down and report.
I let him know that specifically, so...
What kind of animals are in the area that would be picking, like the...
Mostly vultures.
Raptors, vultures, things like that.
Mostly vultures.
But there's no other bigger types of things that... I was thinking if we went out at night.
Like vultures, rats, some snakes. There's not a lot of from what you have gathered, there's not a lot of large animal life that
Right.
is left in this area.
So we can't disguise as wolves and go out there and get stuff. Okay, well, let's see. Well, what kind of distances across the whole? Can I calculate distances?
Like across the battlefield.
Like from our main gate to like where the first skirmish or some most of the some of the dead piles. I mean, how long would it take to run out there just to check on a situation?
The nearest skirmish is probably like 150 feet out, and it's probably 5 or 6 across between, maybe 7 or 8 between the two forts.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 1,000 feet.
Okay. So if we could stealthily move out,
The question is how much useful stuff we'll get out of being able to get the siege equipment back.
Well, I don't know if that's siege equipment, but just, anything else that might be little stuff that we can bring back.
Are there siege equipment that's not in the danger zone, in the no man's?
Everything's pretty tightly to.
There definitely seems to be some siege equipment that is closer to this end of the no man's land. It's sort of like on the outer edge of it that has been sort of left there. That theoretically you could get to without being spotted very easily. That is definitely further away from any of the skirmishes, but you have no way of pulling it back at the moment. And the other thing worth noting is the rent in the earth where the massive fissure is. It's cutting off travel. Is far enough north that if you could get around without Fort Triumph spotting you, you could theoretically get to the gates of Mulgore without having to cross over Camp Tarajo and the gates of Mulgore on sort of this side of the Rent.
Okay.
So you could theoretically make it over there without that kind of trouble, but there's numerous smaller fissures like the one that that Warlord Bloodhill tossed the dwarf into that sort of dot the landscape between here and there. The massive one that's cutting off reinforcements is further north.
Okay.
But basically the only reinforcements you could get right now is from Mulgore, from primarily the Tauren.
Okay. We might have to go that way.
But Garrick will inform you that the Tauren might be dealing with their own thing, because he reminds you that Camp Tarajo was just butchered, and that was the Tauren scout camp directly outside the gates of Mulgore.
Right.
So they're not going to want to spare any forces that they can't, so... Interesting.
Gianna and I could sneak into the enemy fort and get their records on troop movements and everything. Wouldn't that be
she'll
fun?
love doing that with you.
Oh, come on, you can make yourself look like a human. Was that insulting?
To her, yes.
I can act like a dwarf, I just have to fill up a little bit.
Well,
Can I
goblins
pull
aren't
him
technically
off
part of
this
the
thing?
horde. So as a goblin, you could be either way.
Yeah, some of them are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, some of them are, but it's still...
One of the cartels is now part of the Horde.
theoretically,
Actually,
the two of
I
us
could-
are technically neutral enough that we could try to pull something like that, but it's
You
just
have to
too
have a very
risky.
high
It is
charisma.
risky. It is very high risky.
We'd also probably have to get on a boat, because they would be very suspicious of anybody approaching them on land.
Well, I mean, we go down to the...
So,
But it could be fun.
until we have an actual coherent idea of how we pull that off, or a decent opportunity to pull that off.
I mean, we'd have to act like we're cut off from something. I mean,
No.
So Shiana wants to go down and kind of check out some of the soldiers.
Mm-hmm. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for kind of their overall attitude right now.
I hate being yelled at.
Roll me a. Let's see, what skill will be relevant for this? I need. Let me see my character sheet real quick. Just gonna have a look at what skills exist currently.
I imagine that kind of thing would usually be gather information.
Yeah.
But
Actually, go roll me a sense motive check.
Okay.
Because you're trying to gather what they're not saying. Well, because most of what they're saying is Zug Zug! Yes, sir!
What do you sound like? You sound like something when you say Zug Zug, and I can't remember. Something from a show I've seen. Sorry, 16.
16?
Yeah.
Very. It's a combination of scared, embarrassed, and just enough anger that they want to prove themselves right. You sense that sort of orcish indignation is starting to build up, but you get the sense that Warlord Bloodhilt, for all of his rage and anger against the Alliance, knows what he's doing when he's leading orcs. Because you get the sense that this orcish indignation that is building is about, I have been caught being completely disgraceful, and this is not how an orc should act, and you get the sense that they're more angry at themselves than at the Warlord.
Do they all seem to respect the new warlord?
There's a certain amount of the man that I was just working with is now dead, but it's very quickly overridden by this is the man in charge right now, and he has basically seen all of us being completely shameful, so we need to prove ourselves again.
Okay.
How far is that marsh?
You'd have to cross east between the mountain ranges to get to Dustwallow. It's probably 2 days ride on Wolfback, but you don't have any wolves, so probably about 4 days march.
What was the nearest place that had food or water? Or was that it?
If you can make it over the cliffs to Mulgore, like as the crow flies, Mulgore is only like a day or two. But you have to get over the cliffs.
But we don't have animals anyway, so that's not as much of a burden as it would be. Because the step one that we need is we need food here. And there's no food here, right?
Pretty much.
That's the problem.
I'm going to look around here. Are there any obvious hunters or trackers in this group or not?
There is one orc who seems to be mostly walking alongside Warlord Bloodhilt and sort of reporting, giving information about what's been going on, what the current situation is, who is a Forsaken, you notice. Is the only Forsaken that you see in the entirety of the fort, actually. There is one Forsaken, one Tauren, and one Goblin, and the rest of the staff of the fort are all orcs.
Alright.
And the Forsaken wears these sort of long red and brown robes, and he seems to be the one who knows a lot about what's going on in the area, but doesn't necessarily seem to be a scout, but moving with him is the Tauren. Who definitely seems more like a scout. He's got this sort of like fur leather armor and this sort of this glaive on his side that he's using mostly as a walking stick, as he's sort of providing addendums to whatever the Forsaken is saying.
While they're all doing their thing, I'm going to grab one of these maps. I'm going to grab some of their rations, and I'm going to walk up to the war chief while he's got those two near him. I'm going to show him the food, shake my head, and point at the map at Mulgore, and then pull some meat out of my pack and show it to him, and then point up in the direction that Mulgore is. With like a javelin.
Yeah.
And then I'll point at like some of the random orcs who aren't doing anything particularly useful right now.
Yeah. And the warlord kind of looks down at you with your nonverbal display. Yep. You're right. I do get your point. Tamusa, he says, turning over to the Tauren. Grab a couple of men, and if you can, make your way over the cliffs to Mulgore. We don't have time to make it to the gates, but if you can get some rations from your people, maybe some fresh water as well, and some Kodos, if they can spare any, we could really use the extra aid.
And I'm going to point at the stable, and again, I'm going to point at their stored water and their stored rations and shake my head and point back at the stable. And then, again, back at the meat in my hand and like, the flask of water.
Yeah.
To reinforce.
The Tauren kind of looks at the two of you. Very well. I will gather some of the guards and we will make our way with the sunset. And so the Tauren kind of breaks off from the other two and goes to gather up some of the guards.
Okay. Something seems to be happening, so I'm satisfied.
Anyone else have anything in particular for the rest of this evening?
You said there's no smithies or anything, or
There is a blacksmith. His fires are all out, and he is mostly just doing what he can with tools and no heat.
Alright, I'm going to wander over that way then and see what supplies he still has. As far as, like, armors and stuff.
And so you see this orc in sort of like with like a red leather vest and heavy red gloves designed for the heat of the forge, and like chain leggings that are mostly designed to protect around his legs for any random attacks. Is sort of like mostly with just like a wrench, is just kind of like tightening fixings on weapons, and you see there's basically a series of javelins that are laying around that look like weapons that he has had to... There's a lot of weapons that he's currently repairing for various things. Tightening connections, sort of strapping down bits of metal that have started to come loose off of the wood. But the only weapons that he seems to be making are basically spear-shaped things. Taking pointy bit of metal, strapping it to a stick.
Pound a pointy bit of metal till it has an edge, sharpen it on a grindstone, strap it to a stick.
Basically.
Because you can do that without a forge.
Yep.
Does he have any armors?
There are a few breastplates that he seems like he's hammering dents out of and just kind of trying to make sure that they retain their integrity. But the only thing that he's really able to actually build right now is he's just like got a stack of chain links that he's slowly like bending, that he's having to do by hand because he doesn't have the heat to make them more pliable, and so he can't use his chain anvil, which was normally designed to bend metal around, so he can't use the heat, but he's like as busy work to do when he's not repairing anything else. He's just been bending chains together.
Any leathers here or not?
Not really. It's mostly metal work.
Is there a tanner, skinner who would have leathers?
Not that you see around here, but you gather this is a military base. They're mostly working with the heavier armor.
Okay.
anything lighter they probably get from somewhere that is less worried about being attacked. This blacksmith is mostly here to touch up armor that's been damaged.
Would he have any changed shirts?
Theoretically, there might be one that is spare, not being used at the moment.
Though I don't have the funds for it, so.
Yeah.
Okay. He'll look around. Nothing's to his liking, and he'll just. Because the javelins are not going to be of any better quality than what I've got.
No.
Because they're basically the same thing.
Yeah. They used a slightly more refined metal, but it's just a piece of metal hammered into a sharp bit.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
And there's no animals here, so that's not really of any interest. Are any of the dead animals on the field look like they might be scavengeable? Or maybe the vultures?
You could definitely try and hunt some vultures, but the animals that you see look like they're putrefying.
Alright. In that case, I'm going to kind of nap for the rest of the afternoon, and then when the sun starts to go down, I'm going to go vulture hunting.
Alright. So, that's what you're going to be doing. Anyone else have anything in particular?
I don't know. Are we going to try anything stupid like cutting off supply lines, or?
I think we need to be able to rally more forces before we can start doing any offensive operations.
I find one of the, I want to find one of the soldiers that's been there, and want to ask him about the equipment, how they moved it, if they moved it without any creatures or.
And so you ask one of the soldiers, and he's sort of, well, we tried at first to move some of the siege equipment once we had started losing all of our beasts of burden, but it quickly became obvious that all we were doing was exhausting men and putting them out in the open to be attacked. It proved to be a fruitless exercise very quickly.
I see. How many men were used to attempt this?
It took at least 6 to move one of these siege engines.
But you did move it, just very ineffectively.
Yes. Inefficiently and putting most of our men in danger.
You see, Sapphire just used telekinesis and throw the catapults around. Sapphire was also like a level 16th mage.
Yeah,
you could use one of those right
That's
now.
the problem.
If we're talking about that party, then a tank would be pretty helpful now too.
Or
But
Crash.
That's what I said.
Crash
A tank would be pretty
was a
helpful right now too.
What's a tank? It's a big, heavy armored thing that hits like a truck. Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Crash hit like more than just a truck.
I'm sure if you put a pointy stick on the end of a semi, it would hurt a lot too.
Yes, but it wouldn't hurt as much as Crash.
I don't know, I like the idea of someone killing an undead dragon by ramming a semi into it with a spear on it.
We've seen it done already.
Now I'm just imagining the A-Team, that stupid van, with just like, with Mr. T with a lance in it.
Why? What would I need to roll to figure if Mark of the Beast on a bunch of people would how much that would help? Plus their strength, how much that would help to move them, help it move the.
That's a +4 to strength.
With the Mark of the Beast on, you could probably cut 2 people out of it. You move with 4 instead of 6, or with 6 you can move faster.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If we have like 8 people, a couple of shield bearers, and just to make sure incoming stuff is thwarted. I mean, I don't know, some kind of defense while we're trying to move stuff. But I mean, also you and the troll are a lot stronger than most anyway, right? Or
I'm actually not significantly stronger than an average orc.
oh, you're not. Okay.
I'm hardier than pretty much
Yeah.
any orc here. Not significantly stronger.
But that's an option.
But yeah,
We
if
could
we
try
could
it.
figure out a way to get out there and pull some stuff back just for the
Just get the stuff that's closer, at least.
yeah. I mean, we could try something. I just think we should set up some kind of defense thing that's mobile.
That way we can improve our defenses here.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess.
Well, do you want to try something like that? Try to
Now,
go out at midnight.
Is anybody? Because we've had a pretty long day at this point, right?
Yeah.
So are we trying? Is the war chief trying to do anything today, or is he just trying to kind of refocus and get things worked?
Yeah, he's not looking to start a fight today. He's mostly.
I mean, not
looking
even
at-
start a fight, but he's not even worried too. Aside from getting some supplies gathered this evening, he's not super worried about.
No, he's not worried about getting anything done right now. He's worried about getting everybody back into shape.
Okay.
So we take the night off and
I guess I'll go suggest my idea to the warlord. See what he thinks.
Definitely a possibility. If we can't get Beasts of Burden back soon, we'll need to find a way to retrieve as many siege weapons as we can, and having, at the very least, some more capable of moving those equipment. I'll keep that in mind if we need to attempt it.
I'll also report to him a lot of the stuff that I found, like a lot of the specifics of the problems that we're getting and about the Alliance base as well and how they seem to be undermanned.
We need to reverse this situation if we're going to oust them from the Barrens.
At the very least, it looks like we have some time. Eventually, they will be able to restore their position faster than us, but for now, they're not going to attack for at least the foreseeable future.
Well, perhaps the morning will have some interesting developments for us, but for now, get some rest, all of you. I suspect we'll have a busy day tomorrow.
Seems to be the case recently.
yeah.
Cool.
So you all get some sleep.
Get some sleep. Yeah.
Except for me.
Yeah, and you go vulture hunting. You
I
pick
rolled
up.
a 30.
Yep. You pick up a couple of vultures. They're scavengers. They're not going to put up too much of a fight once you peg them with a spear.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, honestly, once I've chucked a javelin at one, it's not like something a deer where I have to worry about hitting it right in the heart to take it down. No, it's if I had a vulture, it's probably
done,
either hit it or I missed it.
basically. And so you take down a couple of vultures and bring them back. But eventually you also get sleep, and each of you, as you rest, find that your sleep is not quite so restful. Each of you is...
Actually, I was actually about to say this, but I have the restful slumber spell, and I was actually about to use it.
I mean, you can cast it, and mechanically it'll take effect, but...
Still.
Your dreams this night are plagued with the images of this of a verdant expanse, a place where barren life springs forth anew with trees and with plant life and growth, and that growth spirals outward and becomes overgrowth as it takes over a portion of what seems to have once been barren landscape, and then a crack opens in the ground underneath, and this eerie, iridescent green light begins to pour forth from the earth beneath as creatures of nightmare, writhing masses of tentacle and angry visages and screaming eyes, and just creatures from the darkest depths of your worst nightmares just slowly begin to pour forth from this scar in the earth that you see in your dreams. And each of you has this dream, and you awaken the next morning fully rested, especially as per the spell, but a little uneasy.
Okay.
All right. I'll take it we're woken as a, typical military morning style.
Yeah, in the morning, there's a soldier who comes through the barracks, is just kind of ringing a bell, just kind of, all right, everyone wake up.
All right.
So you're all roused from your sleep.
I'll get him. Get ready.
Okay.
So,
And as you all gather outside, the warlord kind of looks at the regimented lines of soldiers. All right, all of you keep an eye out for the return of Tomusa and his scouts, potentially with food and water. Today we're going to be doing reconnaissance. We need to find out what the Alliance supply lines look like, and we need to see what we can do about it. But before I send any of you out, the group of you that came with me here, I need to speak with you privately.
This one.
Okay.
And the warlord gathers all of you to the side, and this kind of leads you up to the tower where you can get a view of the valley and the Alliance base. So, if my suspicion is correct, like me, all of you were treated to an unusual dream last night.
Seems to be something of a pattern recently.
Yes.
Well, I'm no shaman, and even less am I some druid from the Cenarian Circle. But I know a vision when I see one, especially when many of us seem to have had the same.
It is certainly an ill omen from the spirits.
Some place of green overflowing with life, and then overflowing with something else.
is there anything I could do to identify the topography of that area?
Roll me a survival check. It'd be a disadvantage if you're trying to recall it from a dream, but
17.
17? It definitely looks like some region in the Barrens.
So it was distinctively the Barrens. That was bursting forth with life.
Like, mostly yellow grassland with some broken dirt and rock that seemed to be overgrowing with green.
But I couldn't identify where in the Barrens.
Not quite where, no.
Cool.
Where are we right now?
Southern end of the Barrens.
No, I mean like in the camp. Like, did we go back?
Up in the middle of the tower where where Warlord, other Warlord was killed, rolled on.
Did that window ever get fixed?
No, it's still shattered.
I'm going to sort of move over to there and sort of try to get a feeling for the spirits if I can.
Roll me a spirit check.
And that is a 17.
Spirits of air are blowing the wind to the south today. and so you sort of reach your hand out and you get this cross breeze that carries along towards the south. But it seems to be, as you reach your hand out, a leaf blows into your hand. Green, fresh, fully alive. Well, aside from the fact it's no longer on a tree.
Recently alive.
Recently alive.
And you said the wind was going south?
Yeah, I was traveling south.
I'm guessing I don't see a whole lot of trees around here.
No.
I look back inside and hold up a leaf. Winds blowing from the north. It's traveled a while, but the spirits of air have been particularly helpful in the past.
This means 2, potentially 3 things. First, if there is an area of green plant life and growth, it's an area where we can potentially find food and water. Second, if it has emerged recently, it's likely that something more than natural is behind it. And then, of course, the third, whatever that mass of monstrosity was within that vision, might be taking hold there. Which means, above all else, we need to seize that land for the Horde and ensure whatever monstrosities might be taking root there are excised, and we might be able to re-establish some form of supply.
It's worth a shot.
Sounds like a plan.
Certainly better than sitting around here and waiting for the inevitable. We'll just have to make sure we get there soon. We don't know what exactly is invading that area and how soon it will be there.
Keep an eye out for druids on your travels. Anywhere nature is moving unnaturally, druids tend to flock.
Okay.
I'll hold my hand back out the window and let the leaf go back into the wind.
It disappears to the south. Alright. Well, you've got your task. See to it how you see fit. I'm afraid we don't have any mounts to give you, but...
Okay.
You know it's somewhere to the north. Spirits guide you.
Here we go.
Yep.
Alright.
Right. We should get ready. If we're not already.
Anything else we need to do here before we leave?
I can't think of anything.
Well then. Best we leave.
Head out the back door.
Makes sense to me.
Yep. Alright. Okay. So you head out the back of the keep and make your way north. We're going to go ahead and roll your stealth checks because you want to cross a bit of the no man's land.
Okay. 27.
28.
I need to roll a d6 for my weapon. So I think I'll tiger again. Yep, still tiger.
Yep.
So, good rolls can help counter out bad ones, right?
Maybe.
Because that was a 6.
Okay, so they see you, but they don't see us.
That's great.
Hmm?
That's great. Because you're a
Oh
tiger.
my goodness.
Actually,
I got
Is
11.
right before we leave, is there any, like in the supplies, anything that I could try to make some kind of disguise from? Like, basically, enough scrap fabric lying around, I highly doubt it, but anything with enough blue and white that I could throw it over myself just in case we spontaneously, got attacked, or if I spontaneously failed a stealth check and had to pretend to not be part of the Horde. What are you talking about? I've never met these people in my life. Don't kill me, please.
Roll me a search check
I don't have any Horde
to see
stuff
if
on
you
me
can.
either, so.
I don't.
You don't find any blue or white fabric.
I don't-
You only find red and black.
I don't even find buildings. I mean,
He rolled poorly to the max.
What is the color blue?
an intriguing question.
Yes.
While we're on our way, I'm gonna be keeping my eye out for snakes again.
All right, flying snakes specifically.
Well, I mean, flying snakes are interesting, but I'm also like I haven't seen any flying snakes, so I'm gonna kind of, but I'm gonna be looking more groundward. I'm gonna see if I can find any like venomous ground snakes that I might be able to catch.
Roll me a survival check.
And I'm going to be paying particularly close attention to the spirits as well, doing the same thing where I'm just sort of meditating on the holy light and just sort of seeing how that attracts the spirits and sort of seeing if I can glean anything off of them.
Done. Roll me a spirit check.
Not a great roll, but thankfully survival's my thing. So
That's another 17.
16.
16. All right. So first, you. Snakes are definitely some of the only remaining animals around this region, actually.
Okay.
Especially ground-based. So yeah, you definitely find a couple of potentially venomous snakes.
I'd like to try to catch and tame one.
Tame.
Roll me an animal handling check.
Right.
See if you get bit by a snake.
25.
Let me see. Snick. Tell me about yourself, Snick. Alright.
Be my friend, Snake.
You find a particularly small viper who seems to, at the very least, see you as less of a threat. And as you kind of interact with it for a bit, and eventually you are able to get it to just kind of coil around your arm. And it seems to, at the very least, think that you will lead it to more food.
Okay. I will ensure to make sure that it finds more food in some fashion or other.
And you have a tiny viper.
Okay.
It is a tiny viper. It's a CR 1/3 thing.
Yeah, it serves basically no purpose, but I know how tiny it is.
It has 1 point. It has
It
one
does
hit
have
point.
a purpose.
You won't let me have a pet kraken.
No, I won't.
You're
A
inspired.
kraken has more than one hit point.
I can.
It could have been
I
a
certainly
baby
have an idea.
kraken. Like a gimpy baby kraken.
I've got an empty flask. I could milk the snake. We could milk a snake and
Oh,
I could
please
make
don't.
poison weapons.
Oh.
This neck is like
I know.
this
but-
long.
Oh,
You're not getting a lot of venom out of it.
yeah. I'll have to
It
do
is a
later.
tiny animal.
But I do have an idea
It is
now.
a young snack. Maybe when it's older.
I mean, it's a full-grown snack. It's just tiny size.
Oh.
It's just, it's,
Okay,
it just happens to be
I'm
a little.
hearing snack, not snake.
It might be a snack.
These are two
I mean,
very different
We don't
things.
know what he's got it for.
Sneck. S-N-E-K.
I think to him we're more of a snack than the snake is. If we die.
I
No,
I
no,
think
no.
we're more of a feast.
We're meals. That's a snack.
Okay.
That's a banquet.
Well, snack.
Exactly.
You're a banquet.
Snake friend's coming with me.
Okay, anyway. But I do have an idea for getting poisonous now. As soon as I learn snake handling.
And now we just need to find a tiny little cardboard box.
Yes.
Why?
Why do we need it?
So,
That or-
because to
that
make
or
sure
a
the snake
bandana.
is solid.
Yes, exactly.
the video game
She's
reference.
Oh, okay.
We're leaving. We're still moving, right?
Yes.
Just randomly,
With a
like
snake.
the troll's been like
Just
walking up
at
to
a
snakes, looking at them, and then shaking its head and walking on. Eventually, he walks up to a snake. They kind of look at each other, and he gives it like he seems to have caught some sort of rodent, and then he gives the snake, and then snake friend is dubious, and then snake becomes snake friend, and you know it's the troll.
Why can't I do this with a kraken?
Have you
Because
tried?
you are the rodent for the kraken.
exactly.
I mean, to be fair, have you
A
tried?
baby kraken, a newborn kraken.
Is still probably bigger than you.
You're still.
It's,
I mean,
A, still bigger than you, and B, its mother will eat you.
I mean, hey, maybe you should take a crack at it.
All right, let's continue.
Oh, hey, I've got a knife now.
Be glad that's what was in my hand and not my mug.
Alright, yeah, so you continue on. The wind continues to, like, occasionally blow bits of, like, plant life towards you. You see the occasional leaf on the wind. You watch how it soars.
And then it somehow impales itself on like a vine bramble.
Probably, yeah.
You guys are mean.
We're the worst.
And
And just keep us walking.
but you still haven't seen any. You still haven't caught any sight of this forest, wherever it's at.
Any feeling on the spirits, by the way, from that?
From the spirit check, you get the sense that the spirits are not quite so involved with this as they are sort of slowly returning to what can be called normalcy in a region. You get the sensation that, like most places, the spirit of fire is angry and acting out, but you suspect that's more just the volcanic cracks to the north than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But the other spirits seem mostly going about business as usual.
The world slowly returning to normal is always a good thing.
No, normal on the grand scale.
Yeah. And on the grand scale means potentially other areas recovering from apocalypse.
Or adapting to it.
There's a new normal.
This is a new
Yeah.
normal.
This is normal now.
Yeah. And so, as night begins to fall, you are making it to roughly the end of where the seismic activity seems to have split the area between Desolation Hold and Fort Triumph. And you're sort of reaching the point where the massive fissures in the ground start to become a little bit more even, and the ground starts to be a little bit more level. And as you hit the northern end of it, the sun is starting to set. So,
We gotta find a place to camp.
Yeah.
Yeep.
So we're just starting to leave the area where the ground is all fissured.
yeah, basically.
Probably be able to find a good nook to
Yeah, you can
camp
definitely
out in.
you can definitely
while we
find
still have the
a
opportunity.
particularly a high enough fissure to hide you from the eyes of anyone coming from the east.
Yeah,
Yeah.
may as well do that
Do
now
that.
while we still have the chance to,
Yeah.
before we just get into completely open grassland or desert as it may be.
You all find a high enough fissure to shield you from the side of the east, which is where Fort Triumph is.
Cool.
And you make your camp for the night.
I'll take first watch.
All right.
I'll take second.
I'll do third.
All right. So first watch, go ahead and roll me a spot check as you take a rest.
If somebody wakes a troll up, he'll take a watch, but I mean, obviously he's not going to offer to take one.
That's a 26.
26.
Okay.
You fiend nothing, which is fabulous.
Or I see something which is slightly less fabulous.
So as you watch, over the course of the evening, as the light gets dimmer and the area gets to be a little bit more peaceful, you could almost say at night. There is, as the wind continues to blow in from the north, it seems to have been like this all day. You suspect it's probably because of the heat of the volcanic crack to the north is redirecting the wind for pretty consistently, just because the heat's emanating off of it. But in the night air, as it gets to be a little quieter, you kind of, somewhere in the distance, you hear what sounds like a scuttling noise, like numerous small pointed legs across rock, and what sounds almost like it's hard to describe the sound of, it almost sounds like a canvas being punctured by something large and heavy.
I'm guessing I'm already at the best vantage point I could be at for this check, so...
I mean, you could climb the fissure you're leaned against.
Sure, I'll try to get up to the top of that.
You climb the rock face that you are on, and you see over the edge of the fissure that you are at. There's a small. I'm not sure whether it's small because it's distant or small because it's small. Shape a ways away in the darkness. You can't make out detail because of it's away from your campfire and you got the fissure blocking most of the light from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just this sort of like disc-like shape that seems to be huddled in one spot in the darkness. You can see the faint signs of movement. Something thin that just kind of arcs around every couple of moments or so, and then like a cessation of that movement, and then just some small shifting of mass. You have no idea what it is, but there's something.
Does it look like worm-like, possibly, or?
No, it's like it's some kind of, definitely has some kind of shape. It's just kind of, because
it's just so far that I can't even really tell.
You can't really tell what it is, but...
I'll make sure to keep my eye on it and see if its movements get it any closer towards us, or if it's just kind of idly wandering.
Over the course of your watch, it doesn't really seem to get any closer to you, and after a while of whatever it was doing, it seems to move on to the south.
Okay. I'll make a note of that to the next person, to you, when I get you up for your watch.
Alright, I'll keep an eye out and stab it if it attacks.
Well, preferably wake us up.
Screaming will wake you up.
Got it.
Roll me a spot check for your watch.
$16.
Over the course of your watch, everything seems relatively still. You don't really seem to notice anything particularly out of place. You don't hear whatever that noise was that Leaf described. It doesn't seem to be returning over the course of the evening, at the very least. Your watch mostly goes uneventfully, and then you wake Brick for third watch.
Alright, Leaf heard something. Stab it if it attacks.
Oh, I see it.
I don't know if Brick is at the stabbing persuasion, really.
Kill it if it attacks.
Punch it.
Stab it with fists.
Stab it with your fists.
Stab it with fire.
Alright, so Brick, go ahead and roll me a spot check.
15.
15. Yeah, over the course of the evening, your watch is mostly uneventful, although you do also sort of hear this scuttling sound from the west this time, actually, not from the east, where Leaf would have heard it, where Leaf mentioned that he had heard it to Shiona. But it's just this, again, it's this noise like several small pointed objects kind of hitting rock. And this sound like a large, heavy object being slammed into canvas. Like,
Knowledge nature roll to see if I know of anything.
yeah, go ahead. See what you got.
Fits that description. 16.
I mean, it's louder than you'd expect, which generally just means that it's larger than you'd expect, but it sounds like the motions of a scorpion. Like, it sounds like scuttling legs and then a stinger hitting something fleshy.
I'll keep an eye in that direction of the sounds.
You keep your eye in that direction, and then eventually over the course of the night you do see this sort of dark disc-like shape that you would associate with a scorpion on the move. In the distance, it seems relatively small, but you can't tell if that's distance or actual size as it moves towards the south.
All right.
It doesn't seem to come towards your camp or try and bother you any.
All right. I continue the watch until the.
And the rest of the watch is uneventful, and you all wake up the next morning.
Well, we woke up, so it can't have gone too badly.
I believe what you heard may have been a scorpion.
Great.
A giant one? Bigger than me?
Well,
Can't tell.
if we saw it and heard it scuttling from so far away, probably big.
Yeah. I could get scorpion poison for my weapons.
First off, wouldn't that technically be venom? And second off, that's a terrible idea.
I mean, poison is still accurate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Yes.
dwunking.
You can still get poison from it.
Yes.
However, the animal itself is not poisonous.
Right.
It's venomous.
Yeah.
That's the distinction.
That means we can eat part of it. Let's keep moving.
If you eat it and you die, it's poisonous. If you bite it and you die, it's poisonous. If it bites you and you die, it's venomous.
Now you know.
So anyway.
Don't do either of those two.
And then venom is poisonous.
Yes.
Poison is not necessarily venomous.
I got it.
Because venom is specifically a poison that can enter your system through means other than digestion.
Through a bite or a sting.
Not necessarily bite or a sting.
Well, mostly.
But typically it's
Through an injection.
Through injection, yes.
Okay. Let's have rations and move on.
Alright, yes,
Makes sense.
Get going.
Take this number down.
Yeah, I know. I've been doing
I'm gonna see if I can find us any food.
You have a snake?
That's not.
A 30 survival check to find some foods.
It's
Going to contribute.
called the
another.
Barrens for a reason.
I mean, I'm talking about...
Ants.
Yeah, I'm talking about
Spiders.
large bugs.
You can probably find some beetles. Some
Good.
decently
Oh,
sized
there you go.
beetles.
They're crunchy.
I'll come back with a small sack full of
I like
beetles.
spice.
And beetles are surprisingly fulfilling.
Yeah, and then it sounds like potato chips.
Having a Lion King flashback.
Also, 27 survival to do the same thing.
Beetles.
Okay.
So as you're breaking up camp, the troll walks back in with a small sack full of beetles, and he's got one, like, in his mouth. And he holds up the sack.
Rhinoceros beetle.
Probably a variety of beetles.
Beggars can't be choosers.
They're mostly carrion beetles.
I'm good.
I offer rations to anybody who wants real, almost real.
I mean, I've got rations too,
I
but
know.
I'm basically supplementing them with what can be found just for the sake of making them last longer.
Yeah.
I'm doing the same. If I have to, I'll eat my rations, but if I can find food.
Like, I'm eating my rations as well, but hopefully this can pull another day out of it.
So you're the only other person who eats the beetles?
I might be. And I've also found my own, so...
Yeah. Does Brick eat beetles, or... No, you're probably more herbivorous, aren't you?
I'll eat them if I need to. I'll stick with the ration thing.
Okay.
Yeah, especially because you're not going to find any savanna lions or anything because they're mostly north of the rent.
Yeah.
And they haven't been able to come south because of the rent.
Yeah, no 2 1s for 1.
I'm not getting into magic conversation right now.
Oh my god.
I'm just making references.
No! No!
We made a Metal Gear reference.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
eat, sleep, and breathe magic.
Anyway.
No.
So, over the course of most of this day, as you travel north, you do find you eventually come across the ruins of Tarajo.
The ruins?
The ruins that Garrick had found.
Oh. Yeah.
And you see that not a lot of effort has been done to clean up this place yet. It looks like the Tory have not been able to. They've been able to clean the dead out. It looks like, but they
Yeah,
haven't been able
Garrick
to.
helped with that as
Yeah,
well.
Garrick helped with the burning of the bodies.
Any worthwhile materials?
Any fresh water sources?
There are actually a couple of wells outside of the camp that
that's
have
nice.
been untended to, but are there.
Fill water skins.
I'm pulling a ton of water up.
Yep.
I want to check the area because he mentioned that this was either Alliance or people pretending to be Alliance. So I'm going to see if I can find any kind of tracks or any kind of indication of what these invaders were. Like possibly movement of tracks.
Where
how
is
they
Garrick, by the way?
He's with you. He's just not saying much.
He's in PC coma.
Okay.
PC code.
He is an NPC.
Sorry, Henry, I didn't
He's been
interrupt
communing
you.
with the spirits very strongly. He's been in a daze.
I mean, that legitimately does make sense, seeing as we're trying to figure out what the spirits are telling us.
The spirits are restless.
He'd probably also be eating the beetles, maybe. So
Probably.
Garrick probably eats beetles, I would
So
imagine.
you hand him a handful of beetle, he doesn't even notice, and just
Sounds like potato.
chews. Potato chip sounds, yeah.
And here we have the salt and vinegar beetle and the barbecue glaze beetle.
This is
And-
going to
and
be
the
like
sour
the
cream and
next
onion beetle.
Lay's flavor when they do the
Oh,
yearly
beetle
flavors.
You know, you can actually buy
It'll be
crickets and grub worms in potato chip flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sour
Now
cream.
all we need are potato chips in cricket and grubworm flavors.
You saw those crickets that Taylor bought a while back. Did you ever
Yeah.
try those?
Were those like salt and vinegar or something? I
Yeah,
forgot.
salt and vinegar. He was the only one that tried them. Yeah,
of course.
I couldn't get myself.
I was not a fan.
Crickets taste like Rice Krispie treat, or like Rice Krispies. They're just kind of empty puff.
Yeah, rice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless,
But yeah,
carry on
so
our journey.
you stumbled across Camp Tarajo. There's a lot of burnt wood and burnt canvas.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't exactly build with much metal.
Okay. I take some of the burnt wood that I can make a mark with the.
Yeah, you can use it as
the
charcoal.
book. As charcoal. Okay. On my barrel of that's holding my gunpowder, I put a letter D, like something. The rune would be like a letter D in common,
Okay.
and then we move on.
I don't want to know.
You'll find out.
Says D on the in common.
Yeah.
Okay. Any food stores?
Which, I mean, the common has been established in the setting as being sort of like Latin, so it probably has Roman, like Latin Roman numerals and characters. So,
All right.
Once I gather water, are there any food stores here?
there likely would have been, but they would have been burnt with some of the buildings. Likely, and you'd probably find like scorched bits of meat that have been caught in the blaze.
And I'm assuming any farmlands have been
Left to rot, basically. But it's only been it's been weeks since the attack, but...
And in a place like the Wastelands, I'm presuming fields need a lot of tending and irrigation.
Yeah. So they've started to dry out pretty bad.
Alright. In that case, if there's nothing salvageable, I'm going to see if I can hunt down the tracks.
So both of you give me survival rolls to find tracks.
Survival. Yeah, like this will work.
Before we move, I'd like to try a sense
21. So I got a 19.
23.
Just in case I sense anything there.
So, you had what? What did you have?
23.
23?
21.
21?
19.
19? So I get to you in just a second.
Roll.
The three of you, as you look around, you see heavy metal-plated kind of footprints, like the very, very uniform shape of like plate mail boots in the dirt. And you definitely find the sort of the signs of individuals in full plate that have wandered through. However, as far as like formations, it's hard to say because there isn't a whole lot of uniformity to them. It seems like they moved in a lot of different directions and sort of spread out once they got to the camp and moved all different layers. Which you can roll me a knowledge military if you have it.
I don't have it.
You have knowledge local, don't you?
I have local.
You can roll me local. If you have military,
You pointed out.
you can roll military.
Okay. 17.
14.
That's not how Alliance troops work. Both of you know that. Alliance troops stay in formation.
Got it. So this may not have been Alliance.
Because especially even if they did break formation, it would probably have been, if things had gone horribly wrong, which,
Right.
judging by how much of a massacre this was, it clearly did.
Like, formation breaks when you need one person to go do something specific, or you need to sort of scatter to avoid incoming fire.
But even formation breaks are probably very orderly.
Yeah, and formation breaks are very much sort of organized. This was a group of people got to the site and split off in all directions.
I'm going to take some of the charred wood and find a good place, like possibly maybe on some of the stonework of one of the wells, and write out the day we came through here, generally what we were doing, and then write out that observation as well. So other people who come through here, maybe if the tracks have been dissipated by then.
On some of the what little is left is standing on some of the buildings, perhaps.
Yeah, possibly near the well as well, so places where people would notice.
Yeah.
Because if you go to this story, you're going to stop by the well.
Yeah, saying it's the only water for miles.
With your runic sense, you don't sense any active runes at the moment. Not in this area. You do. I will say that you definitely find the residue of runes that seem to have been carved on the ground at some point, likely during whatever happened here in this slaughter. Probably by some of the Torrent to defend themselves, but you don't see anything beyond that. Nothing active right now, at the very least.
All right.
And then, anything else any of you are looking for before you head on?
Nope.
Alright. So you all head further north, continuing on in your search. And as the road, there's actually a road now to follow as opposed to just split ground. And as it leads further north, you start to see you haven't been able to sort of cross any particular horizon to see trees yet, but you start to see green grass as opposed to the yellow grass that is typically present in the Barrens.
Does this grass seem natural?
Not to this region. The Barrens grows yellow grass because grass that can survive without a whole lot of moisture. This is like fresh green.
I'm gonna feel the soil. Is it soil or is it still the clay and the...
It's... Roll me a survival check.
That's a natural one. I mean, it's still a 13, but...
It feels weird. It feels like the clay. It just feels weird.
So it's just not right.
It's not right.
I'm going to make a survival check as well for sort of the things he's looking for.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
Nice. Okay, I can roll survival checks, so that's nice. 27.
27. The clay here is weird. It's like clay that is undergoing the process of becoming soil. It's like it's becoming less hard and becoming more compact and becoming more like dirt than clay.
So it's reverse. It's reverse desertification, basically.
Kind of. It's like...
Which is not a natural process.
It's like it's
Tech
unbaking,
magic.
kind of.
I want to sort of feel if there's any difference in the spirits, just like either in the composition of the spirits or if they're trying to say anything.
Go ahead, spirit check. That's what you got.
That is a 19.
So the spirits of the elements are no more potent here than they are anywhere else, but the spirit of life, the sort of the essence of living beings, which is sort of the fifth spirit most would associate, is strong here. It is awake and alive. It is moving potently, but there's something weird about it.
Does it seem like it knows that danger is incoming? Like, sort of attributing the knowledge of that vision, does that seem like it knows that?
It doesn't seem like it's particularly panicked. It just seems odd. It's just perhaps a little too golden, like a little too good, a little too active, a little too... It's almost aggressive in how it's moving out.
So does it, from what little knowledge I have, does it almost seem to be a little bit fire-like in that regard?
A little bit? Not quite fire, but something similar, something you could easily mistake for being a little like fire. It's spreading unnaturally quickly, like it's overgrowing the area that it's in. Like, this plant life is spreading in a manner that you would very much equate similar to like a wildfire.
Interesting. So this is the overgrowth of that vision. Oh.
And this is just the edge of it. You're just seeing grass. You haven't seen any trees yet.
Does this seem like the grass that would grow in this area? Or does it seem like this grass came from like a while away? Like, does it seem like this legitimately did naturally grow here after expanding from a nearby area?
Yeah, this seems to have grown here from further within the overgrowth.
Okay.
It definitely seems to just spread from the overgrowth. It hasn't been like transplanted here or anything.
Okay.
It's just this grass is not natural for the Barrens as a whole, because the Barrens grow sort of like wheat-like very dry grass that doesn't need a lot of moisture to survive.
So that means that there is a lot more moisture here as well.
Yes.
Does
Which
the
you
air-
can sort of see with the clay that's sort of turning into soil.
Yeah. Just like the weather and the air seem to match
It's
that.
very
as well.
humid all of a sudden, yeah.
Like
You're
normal humidity or swamp-like humidity?
like approaching normal humidity, which might as well be a swamp compared to the Barrens.
Okay. Interesting. I'll make a note of that.
Because the Barrens is a very dry place. It's very arid.
Interesting. I guess we'll
Keep moving north, or
keep trying to go towards the epicenter of this. Huh.
As you
I'll pass that observation on to the rest of the group as well, just that the spirits of life are a lot more expansionist than they normally are.
is this like a straight line, or is it like a curved line of growth? Is it coming from a center, like is it coming out in like in a circle from a central point?
It's kind of like a sort of expanding wave. You wouldn't
So
say
it's
there's
not like a big
one.
straight, like a,
I think we don't have enough of a bird's eye view to get
Yeah, I
an
know.
idea.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
like
just trying to
the-
get just get a
The
general
curve
idea.
is too broad to have like a
Right.
single, to have like a point of origin that you could equate to like a building.
Right. Yeah, that's what I. Yeah. We need to get an aerial view. I jump.
You jump.
I climb up on top of a brick. No. Okay.
But you,
So-
you move for a few more hours and the sun is starting to go down again.
Uh-oh. Now we're going to be in the midst of a bunch of
So it's just
creatures.
flat grasslands now?
You're starting to see the shapes of trees in the distance. As the sun is setting, you start to see the outlines of tall tree-like shapes.
Should we try to make it to the trees before we set up camp, or should we try to stay here because we've got good view of the surroundings is the question.
I think we don't want to move too much in the dark, do we? I say we just kind of stay here. And,
Yes, especially since we don't know what's going on over
yeah, we don't
there.
know what's because
I agree.
True.
we'd be getting closer to the magic. of
And
what's
depending on
I
how the
like
spirits
moving.
of life are, if they've invigorated plants this much, I don't want to know what they would do to predatory animals.
Good point.
Okay.
I wonder if our earlier scorpion friend may have been a result of some of this.
I say it was a crab.
Okay.
Well, normally I'd say that a crab in the middle of the desert would be ridiculous, but seeing our current predicament, I don't know anything about nature anymore.
If it's a crab, I call it it's dinner.
Okay, you catch it.
I think if we kill it one way or another, it'd be dinner anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's find a good spot and set up camp.
Okay, so we
Makes
can't
sense to
move
me.
over grass.
Alright, so you go ahead and try and find a place to camp. Everyone go ahead and roll me a spot or listen check.
Oh boy.
Go.
Oh, my.
Yes!
Ah!
Both the same.
That'd be a 28.
That's about 19 more than I got.
I got a 20.
These levels in human are kind of amazing.
I got a 19.
Got 16.
16?
Whatever it is, I don't see it. If I need DC 10, I missed it.
So the as you move, you see the grass is getting particularly tall. And the two of you got a 20 or higher, I believe. Yep, 20 or higher. See that it is parting rather rapidly for something very low to the ground that is heading in your direction.
Like a lion?
Like my pet kraken?
I'm gonna shoot it.
Yes, a land kraken.
Land Kraken!
So are we
Roll
in it?
has weapons and shield out.
Let's
real
get away
quick.
from the tall grass.
Well, let's shoot this thing
if we
first.
can.
As you begin to try and move away from the tall grass, emerging from it is a scorpion of monstrous size.
Not a crab.
Is this massive sort of black armored carapaced creature with these sort of angry red series of eyes and these large mandibles and these two giant snapping claws and a huge stinger curving over its back. This creature is huge.
Do I have time before the thing pops out of the grass to cast a spell?
Not quite. You're rolling initiative.
Alright. So the spot check was for it's already almost on you, but you didn't get officially surprised.
You
by
didn't
it.
get a surprise round. Yes.
Well, didn't get a surprise round against us.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to cast that spell for the next 2 weeks, apparently.
2 weeks.
Is that what you rolled?
Yes.
I mean, I rolled with it.
Yes, but the difference is you have a dex modifier.
Oh, did all of us roll garbage?
No, I got 22.
Oh, okay.
You get to shoot it.
I'm here for a reason.
Or
I
blow it
guess.
up.
I can only shoot it at this point. I don't have any explosives on me, unfortunately.
I mean, you do, just none that you can activate.
Nothing I can use.
safely.
No, nothing I can. Yeah.
Alright, so you have 22?
Yes. Nothing I can use.
Anyone have 20 or 15? 20 to 15?
And 23.
You have 23? Oh, never mind.
Yay. So, you
Anyone else have 20 to 15?
Before they die.
15 to 10.
10.
Okay.
Jeez.
10 to 5.
I don't know if you're being
I
smooth.
got a 6.
Which is as low as you can get, isn't it?
I rolled a 1.
Wow.
I rolled
5
higher
to
than that.
1.
4.
Okay.
Whoa.
And what
Oh,
did
so
you
you-
get, Spirit
So
John?
you got what I rolled.
What
Yep.
did you roll?
I rolled a 5
Spirit John is not part of this combat.
because I have 9 agility.
He's
And I
here
rolled
in
a 4.
spirit.
Yep. So, Shiana, you actually have the first turn.
Make sure.
I want you got a scorpion.
Roll me an attack.
Show
I
what it
wish you
feels
got a
like.
scorpion too.
Are you raging or not raging?
I'm gonna rage because raging is fun,
Yay.
and I can be all like rawr.
So don't forget to add
You can be all like raw.
2 to your attack and damage.
Okay.
I better be able to hit this though.
Wait, 25.
That hits. Roll damage.
I'd be real concerned if it didn't hit.
Wait, am I rolling this?
I don't think you don't get a sneak attack.
Yeah, you could. You're the
Okay.
first one going.
10 then.
Because even though it hasn't technically gone yet in initiative order, I feel like it initiating combat counted as its being aware of you.
Yeah. No, it definitely started the fight. And then Josh, you're up next.
Crossbow.
Crossbow.
6 doesn't hit, does it?
No, unfortunately it
Nothing?
doesn't.
Particularly.
The crossbow bolt fires and it just skips off of the chitinous plates on this giant scorpion.
Wow.
You're aiming in the right direction this time, though.
Am I? I can't tell.
Which makes it the scorpion's turn.
Uh-oh.
Come at me, bro.
It's gonna come at everybody, actually.
I mean, I'm very compatible.
Oh, it has 2 claws and a stinger?
Yeah,
That's
it has
shit.
2 claws and a stinger.
I have 1 claw.
You might not after this.
So,
I mean, yeah, I mean, a rogue with no arms would be a bit of a problem.
Armless rogue.
Undoing locks with your toes.
so one claw is going to lash out at Shiana. That is a 22 to hit,
That definitely hits.
which will deal. Oh, sorry. 13 points of crushing damage, I believe, is the claw. It's a pincer.
Claw attacks are generally slashing and bludgeoning.
We'll say
blood.
bludgeoning in this particular case.
They're typically both,
These are-
but it depends.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
It's probably both. It doesn't say the damage type, so.
Well, claws are assumed to be slashing and bludgeoning. A gore is assumed to be piercing and bludgeoning. A bite is actually all three.
Yeah.
And a slam is just bludgeoning.
And so that's 13 points of damage to you, and it is going to grapple you with its improved grab. So go ahead and make me a grapple check.
Oh, I don't even know what my grapple is.
Your base attack bonus plus your strength.
Your base attack bonus should be 3, by the way, not 6.
Hmm?
And because you're raging, it's 2 higher right now.
Okay. That still isn't going to help me much. 11.
Nope, not against that.
I don't think it can roll lower than that.
Not quite.
No.
So it grabs you and it just kind of pulls you almost off the ground in its massive pincer as its other one lashes out towards Leaf.
Fun.
That is a 23 to hit you,
Twice.
which is going to be 11 points of slashing and bludgeoning damage.
11 points of not good.
And then I need you to roll a grapple check for me.
Which I'm going to fail.
You probably are.
Basically, I don't quite have to beat it on the die, but you know.
So you get
Yeah, no, on a 14, that's not going to help me.
Nope.
Because I have a base attack bonus of 2.
It rolled a
and
14 on the
8
die.
strength.
what you get for your class. You add those numbers to it.
And then
Instruction plus 7.
its stinger is going to go into you, Jacob.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
Which is going to be what your sting bonus is only plus. It's going to be 22 to hit you.
Yes, my AC's good. It's not that good.
Alright, so you take. Wow, that's max damage. That is. And you take 11 points of piercing damage, and I need you to make a fortitude save.
I mean, probably, but 20.
Yes, you shrug off the poison that jams itself into your system as the stinger pierces into you.
If that's its max damage, then I
On
should
the stinger,
be okay.
its claws have more.
Yeah, but the stinger poisons.
And that is its turn, which brings us to Brick.
Okay.
The scorpion has 2 of your friends in its claws.
Yeah.
Friends is such a strong word.
Not for Brick, it isn't. It is for you.
True.
I consider you friends.
Aw, thank you. She does. But don't worry, you're like one of the least annoying people in the group to her.
She considers you not an enemy.
So, if I don't move, would I be able to activate two runes, 2 marks?
Most runes are standard actions.
Yeah, if you have a move action rune, you can activate that one, but I think most of them are standard actions to activate. Oh,
Most of them are either standard or swift.
Yeah.
No,
Most
the
are
two
standard.
the 2 I want to activate are one standard action. So
Yeah. Let me check.
Yeah, because you get a swift, a move, and a standard action each round.
Yeah.
And you can use your standard for a move, but you can't use your move for a standard.
That said, you do have at second level, you got hastened empowerment, which you can empower one of your standard action runes as a move action. So yes, you can do this a number of times per day, equal to half your level in the Rune Master class, which at the moment is probably 1.
Okay.
But you can with a standard, you can activate a standard action and as a move action. So you can activate 2 runes around right now if you want to.
Okay.
But you can only do that twice a day.
I mean, you're level 4 now, right? Yeah. Yeah, twice. You can do that twice a day.
Alright, so I'm going to activate Mark of the Beast to increase my agility for this time.
Okay, so your agility goes up by 4?
Yep. And the other one is I'm going to activate Mark of the Tiger.
You get claws.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I got the what's it called, the Rune of Perfect Steel. So instead of just making it lethal, it goes up. The damage roll goes up 1 level.
All right.
Cool.
So D8 instead of D6.
Sweet.
That's all I can do for now.
Alright, and so as Brick slams his fists together, these series of runes that have been tattooed across his shoulders begin to glow as he begins to move with an even more impressive level of grace, especially for a creature that is this massive bull man. And his hands, on all 3 of his fingers, the hands just kind of, these massive talon-like claws begin to grow out of the fingernails as he grows these 2 giant sets of claws, which is going to be his entire turn. Which brings it to Jang. Jang et al.
I need this thing to drop my allies.
Okay. What are you going to do about it?
Could I make a called shot against its pincer arm?
To try and force it
Right the
open?
wrist.
Like, what effect would that have?
I would say, if you want to try and like jam your spear into the pincer and try and force it open.
I'm not talking about the pincer. I'm talking about, like, because there's an arm attached to it. I'm
Yeah.
talking about going for that skinny weak point and trying to, like, hack at it with this dagger and bite and everything.
I would say if you can deal sufficient damage with that, it would probably put it at a disadvantage to hold on to whoever's in that hand.
Okay, but I suffer the standard called shot
Yeah,
penalty
standard
of
called
minus
shot
4 to
penalty.
hit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, but the thing's massive, right?
It's also covered in like chitinous armor plates.
Well, let's try a called shot with the dagger against the arm.
Remember, it's a +1 or +2 weapon? I think it's
+1.
+2. Is it +1? Okay.
I think it's +1. +2 would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a +1 dagger.
Yeah, it's a +1. Oh, but it's not an animal, is it?
Yeah.
Darn.
This is so technically it's a vermin.
It's a vermin, yeah. So it's not an animal. I can't skin it, so the dagger doesn't give me the benefit.
But if you could skin it.
But a natural 20,
Try to skin
that
something
will
without
hit.
skin.
Roll to confirm.
it'll remove things.
Tear the plates off.
And
Which claw are you going for, by the way?
the one holding Shiana.
Okay. I see how this is.
Yes,
Well, anyway.
I'm an animal man. That's a really good roll to confirm too. 19.
I guess you're a
It's not
troll, you
quite
don't need
confirmed.
healing.
Darn. So it's got really good AC.
Derf.
All right. So note, cold shots in the future, not good.
Wait, you do hit it directly in the claw.
And it takes. Oh, and my strength is up, so it takes 8 points of damage.
All right.
And I'm just going to try to bite at it in general without anything fancy.
All right. Let's say 8's probably enough to play that it doesn't damage for the next round.
Oh shoot! I forgot my strength is up by 1, so that
9.
increased my attack by 1 and the last. No. For the damage I had it, that would have taken it from a 19 to a 20.
That would hit.
That would have confirmed.
Yes.
So I deal double that damage, so it
So
takes 16 instead.
That would definitely put it on disadvantage for his next couple of grapple checks.
All right. And chomp chomp. My chomp chomp, on the other hand, is only a 19
That will miss.
because I don't have multi attack yet. So even though I rolled well. All right. So hack at its claw angrily, bite at it, and then I'm going to try to growl and provoke this thing. But it's a vermin, so I don't know how well it works better on animals. I don't know how well it works on a vermin.
Mm-hmm. You can go and roll me animal handling.
24.
think this guy cares.
Pardon?
I don't think this guy quite cares.
Yeah. I don't think it has an intelligence score. Most vermin don't.
No, yeah, no.
It goes purely off of instinct. So, even more so than most animals. Alright, well, I tried. Hopefully I angered enough by damaging its claw.
Alright, Leaf.
Where is... Cool, it's a free action. So, I am going to draw on my inner orcish rage as I channel all of the anger of a mildly perturbed Canadian.
That Canadian orc rage.
And that's a +2 to strength for 2 rounds, which
you get +1 to your grapple check.
isn't the absolute worst thing. So, I no longer get a minus for my strength to attempt to grapple my way out of this.
Alright.
Because there's kind of nothing
What's
else
your
I can
bad?
do. 2.
So you get a +2.
Yeah. I get a +2.
Hey, it rolls a 2. Can you roll higher than its grapple bonus?
We'll see, because that's legitimately in question here.
I bet it has anywhere from +12 to a +16.
Oh, I rolled off of a 20 into an 8. So that's a 10.
No.
Which isn't going to do it. Sadly, all of my spells have somatic components.
Yeah.
So, like, I was hoping the little healing spell that I can use as a free action would at the very least be no somatic, but
Really has somatic components?
yeah.
Weird.
Sorry,
Can't you
immediate action.
can't you
whatever.
flash of light though? You're like a priest.
No, that's immediate action, and that has somatic components.
Oh, does it?
That's weird. Most immediate action... Oh, the swift action ones typically don't have immediate actions, I guess.
Yeah, I forget if it's swift or immediate. I wrote it down.
Regardless,
Yeah, immediate action.
you're stuck.
Alright. And then Shiona, you're back around. You are currently in one of the thing's pincers.
But I just shanked the heck out of it.
Can I shank the pincer to let me go?
Claws are a light weapon.
Yeah, you can swing with it.
Just like swing at
It won't
the
actually be
pincer.
trying to make it let go unless you do significant amounts of damage, but you can try.
Stab it.
Um,
Stop rolling one lower than your threat range.
I know. 20 something. 20.
I mean, if it's above a 20, you hit.
Yeah. 24, 25, something like that.
So roll your damage.
9.
9. Alright.
Still got me.
It's still got you. Still got you grappled.
Oh, we're dealing damage to it at least.
Josh, what you got? You got a gun.
Yeah, I'd have to load it, wouldn't I?
I mean, theoretically, you could have loaded it a long time ago. We are not a fantasy setting that practices lots of gun safety.
Okay, yeah.
Also, he's a goblin.
He's a goblin.
Even in this fantasy realm that doesn't practice much gun safety, all the gun safety that there is lost on goblins.
Yeah, the dwarves practice gun safety.
Maybe the
No, I
gnomes.
would normally, I mean, you normally carry around flintlock that way. But I would have a negative to use it, right? Because I don't have...
Oh, right, you're not proficient with it yet,
I'm not
are you?
proficient yet.
Uh,
So I would
Which is
do that.
annoying because Tinker bonus feats specifically can't take weapon
Firearm
proficiencies
proficiency.
for firearms. For any other type of
Right.
weapon, but not firearms, which is silly to me.
Right. So I mean, I'm not gonna be able to hit it anyway because I can't hit it with any of my weapons actually. I mean, I would have to roll. I would have to crit it in order to hit it.
I mean, what's your plus to hit?
4.
you roll
Okay.
16.
3 BAB and an agility?
Yeah. I'm just gonna try the.
You could use the assist other action to give somebody a +2 to their grapple checks.
To jump on the arm and just. Grab
Yeah,
it,
I mean,
grab the
basically,
arm.
you run up and you try to help them out, and they can get a +2 on their grapple checks. That's all you would do.
Yeah. Well, because that would be.
And there's no way I'm
that'd be
getting
a
out of
touch-
this grapple, though. I mean, come on. He's not going to roll a 2 again. Even if he does, I'll probably roll a 2 anyway. Or 3 if this guy does so like. Honestly, I've still got
Anyway,
plenty of
yeah.
hit points to keep surviving this thing, and currently it's really doing a big brunt of its damage to me right now. So,
Yeah, but we can't bring you back. It's
like, I may be the backline healer, but I also have a 14 stamina. I can be a meat shield for a little bit. Just kill this thing,
That's right,
please.
yeah.
That's the best way you can get me out of it.
I guess I'm gonna try to take a shot at it and see if I can hit it with anything. Nope. Another miss.
Alright. So that is Josh. Scorpion, you get a crit in the hand. First off, he's going to constrict you, so...
Make opposing grapple checks?
Yep, make grapple check.
Oh,
That was a natural 20. And 25.
27, you're raging.
27. I'm raging.
That actually, he rolled a 5 on the die. That actually beats the grapple check.
Yay!
He tries to crush you and you say no.
I'm free!
Not quite.
No, it just doesn't hurt you.
I'm not injured.
Yeah, you're not hurt. You're not more hurt than you would be. But the other claw is actually going to let go of Leaf and go for Jang's Hall.
Come at me, bro.
Nice.
That's going to be a 27 to hit.
That will hit.
Hi.
Going to deal 8 points of slashing bludgeoning damage, 8 points of claw damage, and then you should make a grapple check.
Look at how amused I am by this damage.
That sounds of either a dog or a
Vomiting
cat.
cat.
Yeah.
That's Lily specifically. 25.
25?
Pleasant.
27.
Okay.
It has you in its claw.
I can't grab this thing anyway because it's huge, right?
And then its stinger lashes out at you as well.
Come at me, bro.
And it has you in its own grapple, which is going to be a 22 to hit.
22 hits.
Which is going to deal 3, 4, 7 points of piercing damage, and you should make another fortitude save.
Over a 20.
Alright, yeah, you save against the...
Fort saves are my thing.
Yep, you save against the poison.
Okay.
Which is amusing, because that poison would demolish anyone who got hit by it.
What does it do?
D6 stamina damage.
I've got a lot of stamina.
Yeah, but every stamina that hits it makes it harder to resist the poison.
It does. Thankfully, I'm the best person to be being hit by this.
I know. I've been thinking about that ever since I got here.
Alright. I believe that makes it Brick's turn.
Yep, Brick, it's your turn.
Alright. I believe I'm going to charge it.
Actually,
Yep.
where's
go ahead.
the how's the initiative order here actually?
Scorpion, Brick, Jang, Leaf.
Because if the two of you hold your actions, I can actually give Bull's strength to both of you, which would help out what you're both doing.
And yeah, you can both delay until after Leaf if you want.
If you want to get the bonus strength.
I mean, I'm all for hitting harder.
More strength is always good.
Cool. I'm going to go ahead and...
Except your Mark of the Beast is an enhancement bonus,
Wait.
isn't it?
Never
but
mind.
he's agility.
Oh, yours is on
It was
agility. That's
agility.
right.
Ignore that. I can't use Fork Spell on Bull's strength because I'm not high enough level for that yet. Never mind.
Or you can give it to one person, so
Yeah,
whoever you would
I'll give it
like
on. I'll give it to him.
to. Okay, so you can go ahead and charge, and
Go ahead.
Jang can hold if he so desires.
And alright, then I'll hold.
Yeah.
If you said that you...
Bull's strength. So
Sweet.
What do I get for charging? Plus 2?
Plus 2.
Plus 2 to hit.
Probably not 12.
12, not quite. What'd you roll?
7.
7? Wow. Yeah, unfortunate. So, in that point, Jang, you're holding. Leaf,
cast.
Bull strength. Jang, go. What you got?
I got a... -4, 21 to hit.
That hits.
For... Sweet. 9 points of damage because of the strength of the bull.
Yep. Alright. That brings us back to the top of the round. Shiana.
I'm not free, am I?
No, you're not. You have a call. You can try and get free.
You could either try to free or you could try to shank. This thing's apparently disadvantaged to hold you. Or disadvantaged.
Yes.
I want to shank. I want this thing to go down.
Oh, I forgot to bite it. Oh, goodness. That's a 20 on my bite. No, 21 because I've bull strength.
So yes, you deal bite damage. You successfully bite through the chitinous plate. It tastes real weird.
And that's
He's
6
been eating
damage to
bugs all
bite
day.
it.
6 more damage.
That's within my crit range.
That is within your crit range.
Okay. I
Oh,
rolled
crit.
within my crit range.
Roll to confirm. I'm thinking I might actually take up Jack's idea and just have Chris be a thing when you roll within the crit range, because confirming is literally just an extra step of tedium.
I don't think a 16 confirms.
Not quite.
I mean, it does give, like, having high AC a little bit more of an advantage against
But I did
people
hit
who do
it.
a bunch of critical
Yeah,
hits.
You do hit.
Okay. I did hit it.
Like, I think it's a good sort of nerf to just having insanely high.
There's pros and cons.
I did 5 damage.
5 damage?
Yeah,
Alright.
not much.
But at the same time, you want to critically hit the thing, don't you?
Right.
I mean,
With the
true.
credit
I've
hit,
seen
yeah.
people, what they do is, on a 20, you automatically crit, and then on the expanded crit
On the
range.
expanded crit range, you still roll to confirm. Yeah.
Or if you
That
have a
makes sense.
multiplier, you have to roll to confirm to get your, like, ×4 crit, or versus the ×2.
Yeah.
Like, so you got a partial crit and then an amazing crit.
Yeah. Then I will play around and see what I want to do with it, because I definitely feel like just having to confirm every single crit feels like just a bunch of tedium.
Yeah.
Alright. So Shiana, Josh, what you got?
I'm gonna pull out my flask of oil and smash it on its side and ignite it.
Alright, that's significantly
Smart.
easier to hit, so
That's a touch attack.
Touch attack.
yeah, that's a touch attack.
And the thing is gigantic.
It's huge, actually.
Oh, shipwreck!
What'd you roll?
I rolled a 1.
Oh boy.
Did I drop
With
my
an explosive?
I mean, you're standing next to it, and it's got a splash radius.
And
So
I mean,
it's gonna
did you
roll.
ignite the oil and then throw it, or
No,
throw
no,
it then
I-
ignite it?
I just tried to hit it on its side.
And you
try
splattered
to
it against
ignite
the ground.
And I just
So-
hit it on the ground. So I'm going to start a fire underneath it instead.
So you're gonna take the damage, but it's also gonna make a reflex save for half damage, which it fails.
I imagine the thing's not super
It
reflexive.
rolled a 7. It rolled
What
less
is
than
it, a
10.
1 to 6?
So it's a
Is it
D6 for
D6
burning
damage?
oil.
4.
D6 fire damage.
4.
So you take 4, it takes 4.
Okay. Yeah.
Alright. You did damage to it.
And at least you didn't roll a 1 on a technological device. So
Yeah, no.
Right, so
like it wasn't like a grenade that didn't
Yeah.
go off,
Right.
or
Yeah,
a
it was
helicopter that crashed and
So it's
burned on
gonna
you.
constrict people in its claws first. Jang, starting with you.
Yes.
What
It
you got?
constricts me.
Okay, you take D8 plus. You take 14 points of constricting damage,
Okay.
and then it's going to constrict Shiana. Roll a grapple check.
Yes, I rolled a 1 on the die.
How healthy are you two looking, by the way?
None.
How many health points do you,
You
have?
take 10 points of constricting damage.
She's probably looking worse than me.
I now have 3.
Don't forget your cons up so you can
Okay.
temporarily have an additional 8. So you have 11.
I now have 11.
Okay,
And
I just
then
need to know if you go down, because...
Stinger's gonna lash out at the goblin that just smashed a flash of burning oil against it. Well, that's a 19 on the die. It doesn't have an expanded crit range on the Stinger, fortunately.
Okay.
So that is definitely going to hit.
It's a 42 save or
It's a fortitude save, yeah.
can't be a reflex save?
No, unfortunately not.
Guess what I get for
You take
a save?
you take 10 points of piercing damage, and then
12,000.
You get a +2 to your fort save? +1. You
Yeah.
have 10 stamina?
And what do I have to get? A 19 or something?
I don't know.
I'll,
I made it
I'll
with
heal the
19.
ability damage later.
11 and 1 is 12.
not quite. You take
Yep.
4 points of stamina damage.
Okay, so stamina goes down to.
I'll heal that.
Which
Meantime.
also reduces your hit points by 8
Yeah.
until you get that
So
healed.
that 10.
Oh.
8, -4.
Okay, real quick, as soon as that happens,
Yeah.
Did you go unconscious?
No, yeah.
the instant that happens,
You dropped to 0.
fork spell, flash of light. I heal you for 1 hit point, and I heal you for 1 hit point. You're back up.
Yeah. Both of you stop dying.
Stop it right now.
Alright, and at that point, Brick, it's your turn.
Okay.
Maybe we can't flank this thing while we're grappled.
I'm going to.
No, you're both right here in front of it.
Yeah.
Well, also, I would rule that you can't flank something that's grappling you.
I mean, I would say even if you were, if it for some reason was like, if its tail was grappling you and then its hand was grappling you here, the two of you could theoretically be flanking.
But we don't threaten it, technically.
Yeah,
It's not
like,
really a threat.
because he's technically like behind it right now, but
Well,
that's not
beside
doing
it.
anything.
Yeah.
Well, if he's got a melee weapon out, you can flank with the goblin.
I'm going to use the second and last
Swift empowerment.
with empowerment to activate a mark of magic striking.
Alright, so your fist become a +1 weapon.
Yeah, yeah. So and now I will try to hit it again.
Punch it.
Well, claw it,
Claw it
technically.
now.
Claw it with your punch. Punch it with your claw, whatever.
How are your hit points looking, by the way?
I can take another good hit, but that's about it.
Okay, so I'll keep Shiana alive then.
Thank you.
Also, the troll stabilizes instantly.
That is a
I mean, stabilizing isn't a problem. I can stabilize 2 people per turn for 3.
21.
21, that hits. Roll damage.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is like half the reason I took fork spell for that one spell.
Both of you!
It's kind of nice.
That's a 7.
7 points of damage. Alright.
Oh no, 8.
8! Even better.
I forgot to add the 1.
Alright. Brick, that is your turn. Jang and Tall.
I rolled a threat and then a 1 to confirm it, so just a regular stab.
Stab.
But man, I like rolling max damage, so another 9.
How do you want to do this?
Oh, I also hit it with my bite. So I would like to jab my dagger into the joint of its arm, remove the claw, and then go up and then bite it around its face and just crush its skull.
Alright, so as Jangatal feels this welling rage at these repeated puncture wounds and these crushing pincers that are just pressing into his torso, he just brings the dagger up with both hands and jams it into the joint of the claw and then just wrenches back and forth until the claw loosens and falls off of the arm of the scorpion around him. And as the scorpion is reeling back from the severing of its pincers, Jangus rushes up forward and grabs onto 2 of its mandibles and just opens his mouth and jams his tusks into its face and just presses with his teeth and his tusks on both sides of its head. And there is this sickening crunching of chitin as its entire face just slowly compresses underneath. You hear its eyes popping in Jangatal's mouth before it stops moving.
Tasty gummy center.
Alright. Let's harvest some chitin plates.
And some poison. And
yeah,
speaking
the
of
poison.
harvesting poison, I'm going to make sure that you're alive enough to do that. So hold on. Let me... little bit of healing. 7. Ooh, that was actually a really good roll.
Knowledge nature to know where to go to, where the poison sac is on
Sure,
this
roll
thing.
me all in nature.
13.
So would
19.
The poison sacs are in the butt, right at the base of the
right at the
saber.
base. I figured that. Yeah, okay, I'm looking.
would it be a
18 hit points
check
back.
to
18?
remove the chitinous plates?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I'm going
you
to
wouldn't get the
also
advantage from the
cast...
dagger.
Pardon?
You wouldn't get the advantage. You wouldn't get the bonus from the dagger, but
Okay.
how much ability damage do you heal for a full rest?
Full rest is
What are you trying to figure out?
for how much ability damage goes away on a full rest.
1.
Restful slumber on you. Next time you take a rest, you will heal twice as much ability damage as normal, so you'll be back up 2 the next time you
Okay.
rest.
All right.
That's the best thing
My
I got.
stamina's still down. Okay.
Yeah, the thing about ability damage is it tends to linger.
Yes.
And nobody
until you
else
get
got hit by
restoration
it?
spells.
Or at least nobody else got affected by it.
Yeah.
Mr. Troll Man with insane
Technically,
saves.
in 1 minute, you'll have to make another saving throw against the poison, though. Because it's still in your system if you failed the first save.
In that
Yeah,
case,
that's- yeah.
Bear's Endurance. You get +4 Constitution for that saving throw.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do I have something else that gives you bonus on saves?
How much is that? +4.
Also, what ability am I using for skinning this thing?
That'll be a +2
that'll
to your
be-
save for that.
You're trying to force chitin plates off, so it'll be your strength.
Okay.
There's a little bit less finesse in this than trying to skin something that has hide.
That's a 15.
15? Yeah, you managed to force some of the larger plates off. It's not perfect, but you keep it mostly intact as you manage to break some of the plates off of its hide.
I have 2 flasks to fill with the poison.
Alright. Yeah, I'd say you can get 2 doses. Roll me survival to see.
Survival. Survival's not a good thing for me.
Would this be equivalent to
You want me to
like,
help,
the
or
Nerubian
you-
kite
Yeah.
for material
Help me get
usage?
this stuff.
Theoretically, not quite
Actually,
as potent.
You can
but
go ahead and
similar.
use the Aid Another action and I'll harvest
I think
it.
the Nerubian kite is like half
Okay.
mithril.
Aid Another gives a
So
+2,
it'd just be like,
Yeah.
I think.
it would make masterwork
Because
stuff.
I'm not.
Basically,
Like
you
minus
can,
1
you,
armor check penalty. to
yeah,
whatever.
you could make masterwork armor with it. Yeah.
Okay.
With survival.
20. That'd be a 24 on the survival check to help you out with your poison and stuff. So
Okay.
there you go.
All right.
All right, so yeah, I'd say
So we get
with
2 flasks of.
Leaf's help, you can harvest 2 flasks of scorpion poison, which will probably work for 3 applications of a weapon each.
Okay.
And I'm going to really quickly check if I can do something for him.
What did you need?
You have when you apply the venom to a weapon, you have the next minute to hit something, at which point it will affect them with the poison. After a minute, it dries up.
And when you apply poison, you have to roll the d20. On a natural 1, you poison yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're an assassin.
Because you're just good if you're an assassin.
Because you're used to it.
I was
You
hoping I
also
could
get,
give him a
like,
bonus on that save, but I
Bonuses,
can't.
saves.
Oh.
I can only give myself a bonus on the saves
Right.
for my little priest ability.
Okay.
And after a minute, the poison pulses through your system again. One of the fortitude save.
Oh, we have to get on this at 10.
You'll
I
see.
get 25, don't I? 17?
Just under the DC.
18?
That was with the +2?
Oh, the blue. No, +2 on that. So
So 19?
19.
That makes it. You don't take the secondary damage.
Aha! Bear's Endurance!
Yes, good. Okay. Yeah.
Also, you were injured, right?
Yes.
8,
I'll say we're going for stamina.
11.
Could have given him a Mark of the Beast with stamina.
Yeah.
But you made it in.
He's good.
You heal 16 hit points back.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
that's my saving throw. Okay.
I mean, we're about to rest up anyway, so.
Yeah, just making sure if we get another ambush.
And as you set down to rest after being ambushed by this giant scorpion,
And cook the scorpion.
the scorpion you notice is odd. Aside from just its sheer unnatural size, which is not a size that one typically finds around this region.
So we're talking like a 20-foot long scorpion.
It is a huge creature.
So, yeah, somewhere between 15 and 20 feet long.
Yeah.
That's the size of like
Yes.
a
That's
small
the size of
school
a
bus.
Kodo.
So a scorpion the size of a small school bus.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Scorpion the size of a short bus.
So whatever is affecting the plants around here, I'm guessing is taking some kind of a hold on the local wildlife.
I was going to say, before, like, even aside from its just unnatural size,
Because I speculated that before, so
Um,
here's confirmation.
even aside from its unnatural size, as you peel the plates off, as you harvest, you find these sort of, like, pulsing green veins across its underbody, inside, underneath its armor.
Which is weird because they don't have circulatory
No,
systems.
they don't.
Wait, what?
Scorpions don't have
These lines of greenish something that pulse underneath the chitin.
Greenish.
So what I'm just getting is
Knowledge,
these, right?
Yes.
Knowledges? Knowledge religion. Is this something like demonic or horrible or whatever knowledges would help me here?
Knowledges that would be applicable here would be nature. Definitely nature.
Arcana?
Arcana maybe. And religion maybe.
Darn. Let me do it. 16 knowledge nature.
Knowledge nature.
I could have done a lot better than that.
23 Arcana. Nature. Arcana knowledge.
Arcana knowledge? Knowledge arcana.
Arcana.
That's only an 11 on knowledge religion.
So, 1, scorpions don't have a circulatory system.
Yeah.
They should not have veins.
That's how this thing got so big. It needed a more efficient way to get nutrients around its body as well.
Are
So
we sure a little girl didn't just give her a lot of love?
The
That this girl is like a succubus, maybe.
just give it lots of Adam. This is not in any way natural. The energy that sort of suffuses it is not arcana. Through arcana knowledge, this isn't augmented by any virtue of the arcane. It's augmented by almost a twisting of reality. Like, this isn't something that should exist. This isn't like a chimera or something that a mage would make in a tower. This is something that is not within the bounds of typical reality. It's an aberration in reality more than a vermin.
This is what I find out, or
That's what you learn.
And also, in addition to the 11 religion check, which is great, a 25 spirit roll to get an idea of what the spirits think of this, if it itself has some kind of twisted spirit.
It is completely unnatural. It is almost a void of spirit. It should not exist. In fact, as you look at it, the sort of greenish veins across its body slowly start, as it's no longer alive, start to dissolve into the rest of its form, and it just slowly breaks down. The armor plates that you've stripped off it remain because you stripped them off it, but its body just begins to break down.
So it is a
dissolve.
Deathstalker.
It just, its entire body just kind of slowly dissolves, not into like massive puddles of liquid, into shadow that just kind of disperses across the ground.
Huh.
It's almost like you just got attacked by a nightmare. Like a bad dream.
But the chitin is still there.
Yeah, the armor pieces that you stripped off of it are still there.
And what do the spirits notice it, or like, do they just not realize it exists, or are they disgusted by it?
They are revolted by it. It should not exist.
Figured.
rest up everyone. We're going to be running into quite the unknown enemy.
Yes.
And as you all get your evening's rest, contemplating what on earth this nightmarish monstrosity was that you have just run across, that is where we will end for the evening. Say goodbye, everybody.
Farewell.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.